Okay, I think we're live. Um, hey, Dave, welcome to your show. That's too funny. It's too funny. Thunderdome of Mod. Yeah. Hey, Farmer, how are you? Good to see you. Heather's here. Hi, Heather. How are you? Good to see you. Hope you're well. I know you haven't been feeling well. Sucks. Hope you're good. Hope you're okay. Mino Dino's here. Hey, Mino, what's going on, buddy? Paula's here. Hey, Paula, how are you? Good to see you. Oh, wait a minute. It is 1:09, so I'm a little late. We're right at the end of June, heading into July. It's 6/29, 2025. So there's that. Carol's here. Hey, Carol, how are you? Good to see you. Tracy Fleetwood's here. If you ever need to ask a question and you need an answer, just ask Tracy. She's amazing. Nicole Watts here. Hello, Nicole. How are you? Good to see you. Honeybee's here. Hey, Honeybee, how are you? Good to see you. Honeybee's amazing. She's got a great channel. You know, also is really good is Doodlebug. I was able to catch a couple of lives this week with Doodlebug. And Mustang's here. Hey, Mustang, how are you? Good to see you. And she had a really good live. Couple of lives. One with Barbara Hall was on. And that was very interesting with Miss Barbara. We love Miss Barbara here. And I saw True Crime Web. Steve was on there. So we know he's alive, which is good. But anyway, she was talking about another case too, Conrad something. I know I got it in my list of cases to cover. There's just so much shit going on right now. It's just so weird. But anyways, I got a lot to do. Tonight we're going to go over, obviously, the true crime. It's good to see everybody. True crime cases of the week. I know I want to get into the rest of the Molly Bish thing that we started a couple of weeks ago. But I also want to get into this case with Suzy, Lyall. And I found that case on a podcast called Trace Evidence, which I've been listening to religiously here the last couple of months. So we'll get into that case. And then, of course, we'll go over the true crime cases of the week. I want to get into the couple of the cases, the Crystal Rogers case, the now I forget not the Missy Beavers case, but what's in a Morphew case and a couple others. So let's get going. It's good to see everybody, though. Hope everybody's well. I hope Heather's well. Let me start this. Hold on one second, and then I'll play my intro. And then I'll get going on this. I'm gonna have GoFundMe thing going across the bottom for Heather. This is Heather's GoFundMe. We know that she's not feeling all that great, so looking for donations for that. Farmer's here too. Farmer's awesome. Farmer's got a great channel. Farmer is an amazing freaking person. So all of the people who in here don't know who Farmer is, check it out. It's got a great channel. Feel free to throw your channels in here. Me and Diana are about to go on. Oh, sorry to hear that. Charles is here. Charlie Manson is here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to play my intro and then I'll be right back and then we'll get going. All right. Hold on one second here. The hell am I doing? All right here. And Honeybee's in here too. Honeybee's amazing. So let me play this here. And then I guess I'll be right back, I think. All right, let's do this here and I'll be right back. Good to see you guys. Remove that. Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. There's Heather's GoFundMe right there. Perfect. Thank you, Dino. All right, let's right here. Be right back. right, yep. If you guys have channels, I know Honeybee's got a channel. I know Paula's got a channel. We're gonna try to convince Tracy Fleetwood to get a channel here too. I know Necessarily Evil's got a channel. So if you guys have channels, feel free to throw them in the chat. Farmer's got a channel. Paula's got a channel. There's Paula's channel right there. Paula's amazing. Dirty Diana's got a channel too. Dirty Diana's awesome. We were on there this morning laughing and having a good time. It was pretty classic. All right, so let's okay, I want to do one thing first because I just found this tonight. This is going to be pretty sad, but we'll play it anyways. Hold on a second. Nope, it's not that one. It's this one here. Okay, so let me share this here, and then we'll get into things. So this is coming out, I believe this is Toledo, Ohio. I could be wrong, but this happened. This initial thing happened back in 1998, and I don't know if you guys remember this. I kind of remember a little bit about this. This guy just went absolutely nuts one day and started unaliving a whole bunch of people. So Ashley Fonseca, who shared her story of surviving the 1998 unaliving with this news station here, she ended up surviving this mad guy here, which I think was her mother's boyfriend or something like that. Not sure. But she just passed away. This was done a day ago. So she just apparently suffered kind of the same fate. So this is just really sad. So this is coming out of, I believe this is Toledo, Ohio. So we'll play this here. I just came across this tonight.
And reflect on the loss of a Toledoan this week. Ashley Fonseca, also known as Ashley Morris, was just 10 when Toledoans learned of the tragic day in 1998 that changed her life. We're about to show you the story that we put together 2 years ago, marking the 25th anniversary of that tragic day.
Dee Dee just jumped in chat. Hey, Dee Dee, how are you? Good to see you. John Paul Hansen's here. Mandy's here. Hey, Mandy, how are you? Good to see you. Let's see here. February 13th. Yeah, this is strange. John Paul Hansen's here too. How come John Paul Hansen doesn't have a wrench? I thought I gave you a wrench a little while ago. All right, let's get back to this here. Good to see everybody.
Ashley was brave that day 2 years ago, brave enough to meet with me and photojournalist Paul Kwapik, honoring her mother who died in a violent attack. Sadly, this week, Ashley's life was cut short, and by all indications, it was an act of domestic violence. We mourn her, and we pray that she is now at peace. Here's our story from February 13th, 2023. Monroe and Secor, one of Toledo's busiest intersections. It's seen its share of traffic and crashes and demonstrations over the years, but nothing compares to what happened here 25 years ago. It was February 13th, 1998, one of Toledo's most violent and tragic days.
You had to reset your phone. YouTube would not accept my number anymore. All right, let me know if you want a wrench. John Paul's got a channel too. Feel free to check that out. Shit, I was on Top Chat. That's been happening to me a lot too lately. I don't know why YouTube changed that. But every time I go into a chat, I have to double check that because automatically puts me in Top Chat, which is really weird. But phone is charged, correct. We're going to lose Dino here. He's having storms. All right, so let's get back to this. Jenny's here. Jenny 8675309 is here. Hey, Jenny, good to see you. Always good to see Jenny here. Jenny's amazing. Jenny's awesome.
And although the horror of that day ended in this spot, its impact has never gone away.
Let me know if anybody's heard about this case.
Calm down. Tell me what's going on. There's a guy that just pulled in the backyard. He has got a knife.
There's not a Friday the 13th that goes by that it doesn't come back into my mind.
Hey, dispatch, we got people all over this place here panicking.
And it still feels fresh. You know, I was old enough to still remember.
So this person right here, Ashley, I believe, was her mother was attacked. And she was attacked too, but she ended up surviving. But she just passed away, I think, earlier this week here from almost like the same kind of circumstance. It's so weird. So this channel here is remembering her here.
Remember everything. So I was 10. I can remember everything. Like, everything.
Ashley Morris was 10 when the man stalking her mother repeatedly stabbed her.
Like, if I can replay it again, like I'm there. I remember every little detail.
Joe Chappell worked with and was obsessed with Ashley's mom, Vivian Morris, and he couldn't handle the rejection. That Friday afternoon, he attacked Ashley first.
I got stabbed 14 times. I remember, I got all the scars everywhere. Like, after that, I had it's called like mitral valve prolapse, I guess, trauma to the heart. So I had like heart problems, and I got like tendon problems from getting stabbed in my tendons.
He then went after Ashley's brother Adam before wounding her mom so badly she would later die in an ambulance.
You gotta calm down, Louie. We can't understand you. Ron, Jackson Road, just north of Pennsylvania Avenue. 2 ambulance drivers been shot with a shotgun.
Chappell wasn't done. He ambushed the ambulances carrying Morris and her kids, shooting 2 first responders.
I turned to the left, and all I saw him was doing was aiming the shotgun at me, and next thing I know, I was flying through there.
He shot and killed 21-year-old Brandy Williams when she wouldn't give up her truck to him.
Was it with a shotgun?
I think my son thinks it was a shotgun.
And then the final scene, the chaos, when Toledo police shot and killed him.
They shoot out the back window. Just looking. There he goes. Shots fired. Shots fired.
When you Monday morning quarterback this, do you just rack your brain and think, my God, how in God's name could there be that evil in our town? And how could something like this play out in Toledo, Ohio?
Well, I got to say, it's a.
Hey, Dom, it's good to see you. Good to see Dom in the house. Where the hell is Shibby? Good to see everybody in the chat. Always good to see everybody here.
The fact that there's evil in the world, and that we're always going to have it. It doesn't matter where you're at. You can be in the safest place in the world, and bad things can happen.
Former Toledo Police Chief Jack Smith was one of 2 officers who shot and ended Chappell's trail of terror. Captain Joe Heffernan was just a rookie.
And everybody just did everything they could to get that guy that day. We knew that if we let him continue, it was going to end up in
More loss of life.
more carnage. He wasn't going to go down easily.
The last 25 years have not been easy for Ashley. She's been strong ever since she was a kid. A tattoo on her hand showing she's a survivor. A constant reminder of her mom on her shoulder. She stays in Toledo.
Who knows? It might be a holiday in Canada, so I don't know. I seen him the other day in Rick's chat, but I haven't seen him since, so I don't know what's going on.
To be close to her mom and the baby she lost. A tattoo for that baby on the left arm. She knows she had friends and classmates who loved and supported her. But still, there are days now that are tougher than others.
Because back then, a lot of stuff that happened to me didn't happen often, like it does now. Back then, it was like murders like that happened once in a blue moon until, now it's like all the time. So when I hear like stories like that happen like that, it brings back memories, or I'm like into big documentaries and stuff, so sometimes I like to
This guy here just ruined a whole bunch of people's lives back then. It just sucks so bad.
watch it just because I feel like that's happened to me. It's not just me.
What would you say to her now, 25 years later?
Well, I'm glad she survived, and I hope she uses her life to be a person that can bring out that message that you can survive something like this, and be a vessel for good.
Who's DB? I think I know who DB is. It is drama, terrible drama. I'm trying to stay out of it too. I think that's why I don't want to do the Cryptex thing, although I might do it. I don't know. There's just way too much drama going on right now, and I don't want to be any part of it. All right, here we go.
They and the other families involved, they're always in my prayers. It was tragic. It was an incredible load for those two kids to carry the rest of their lives. To see something like that happen.
Do you sometimes ask yourself, or I mean, I don't know if you're religious. I mean, do you?
Yeah, like why me? Like why our life? Like why did I have to get dealt with the cards I got dealt with? Like everybody's like, be strong. Like it only happens to the strong ones. But like, how long can you be strong?
But she is strong, finding strength in raising her boys, reminding them of their grandma, how she loved her kids, and how she would have loved them. Unfortunately and sadly and tragically, Ashley lost.
Today was rough, Heather. Oh, that sucks so bad. I hope you feel better soon, Heather. I really do. Like I said, we got Heather's GoFundMe here, rolling down across the bottom of the screen. Yeah, what a warrior for sure. This person here, even though she made it out of there alive, she's never had it easy for the rest of her life. It just sucks. It's horrible.
Her life to domestic violence this week. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available and you are not alone. Right here in Toledo, there are resources ready to support you. The YWCA of Northwest Ohio offers a 24-hour crisis.
So this victim, Ashley, just literally lost her life this week due to domestic violence. It's amazing how those things happen.
Crisis hotline, emergency shelter, legal advocacy, and support services for survivors.
So it is Toledo, Ohio, because this is the victim resources for people who are going through this. This is Ohio numbers here.
You can call them anytime at the number on your screen. You can also find more information and additional resources by dialing 211 for United Way or visiting ToledoPolice.com under the Victims Resources tab.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's a terrible thing. I just came across that tonight, so that's why I decided to, hey, look, it's right here. I can just go right here. Okay, so I don't have to do that. So just getting off of that case here, and we're going to go on to this, because I just came across, I forget who sent, I think it was Miss K. Somebody sent this to me anyways. This is more on the disappearance of, I don't know, we've done a few lives on Jody Huisentruit here. She's the reporter that went missing.
I'm Marnie Hughes, and this is Missing.
She went missing, believe. Missing case revisits the disappearance of Jody Huisentruit has been 30 years. I know the person that they had kind of like the spotlight on just passed away as being a suspect in the case, but I think they kind of ruled him out anyways. But so it's been 30 years. She disappeared without a trace on her way to work. The last person reportedly to see her was her husband, John. I don't think it was her husband, was it? John Van Cise. On the night prior to her disappearance, despite police encountering a pair of heels, earrings, and a blow dryer in her apartment, which is strange because some reports had that her toilet seat was up So that's an indication that somebody else was there. Blow dryer in the apartment complex parking lot. Nobody has been charged for her disappearance. Her family declared her deceased in 2001, but they're still seeking answers. So here we go. This is the latest on that from the missing thing here. We'll play this. So this is a nonprofit organization seeks answers in the 30-year-old disappearance of Jodi Huisentruit. So they got a nonprofit group looking for answers into this issue.
Thank you for joining us. Each week, we cover a missing person case that isn't getting much attention. Every missing person matters, no matter their race, background, or circumstances. By highlighting these cases and sharing their stories, we...
Hey, Big Fish, good to see you. I always forget to name Big Fish at the end of my live, so I'm going to do it now. Thank you, Big Fish, for coming in. They had a party. I think I'll have to pull the wiki thing up again, but they had a I think it was a birthday party for her or something like that. The night before. But I've got a whole bunch of videos on this. I've done at least 3 or 4 different videos on her here, but this is the latest on it anyways. But I'll pull up the wiki on that. Anyone I've missed, it's all good, Dave. I always miss certain people. I don't know why. All right, let's go here.
We believe every case is solvable, and together we can bring answers to the family and friends of the missing. This week's featured case, Jodi Huisentruit, the morning TV news anchor from Mason City, Iowa. It's been 30 years since Jodi vanished, her case captivating the country, devastating her family, friends, colleagues, and the community. New this week, the group Find Jodi releasing a 30-second video.
So I didn't have to look it up. It was Iowa. Honeybee's in here too. Honeybee's amazing. Honeybee has a great channel. I'd love to support her channel because it's awesome. She's also a great person, period. So there's that. That's annoying.
Jodi was 27 years old when she vanished on her way to her job at the TV station. Her keys, her shoes, even her curling iron found in the parking lot near her car that morning. But no sign of Jodi. Over the years, the case has remained active but unsolved. No named suspects, only persons of interest, including John Van Cise, a man who was at the time a friend of Jodi's and the last person to see her. Despite a lot of suspicion, he denied having anything to do with Jodi's disappearance. Van Cise died in December. Members of that Find Jodi group are also gathering today in Mason City, Iowa. And News Nation's Rich McHugh is also there. He is going to join us in a moment with an update. First, though, we want to give you a closer look at Jodi's case, the evidence, and also the timeline of events leading up to that fateful morning.
You're watching KIMT's 1 hour morning time.
So hold on a second. The latest the search warrant in the case, I know that the part of the search warrant was unsealed, which is the family went to court to get the law enforcement to release the search warrant. Remember, we went over that a couple weeks ago, I think it was. But they only released a partially unsealed some of it. They didn't unseal all of it because the case, they're saying the case is still technically ongoing, but they've kind of ruled out this guy, John Van Cise, because he just passed away anyways. But the other news is they searched a construction site in rural Minnesota in October 2024 based on a tip but the search did not lead to finding anything. And the private investigator that's been all over this case, Steve Ridge, stated that on November 2024, he believes jealousy over a new relationship had at the time of her justice. Remember, we played that too, so we know that. Okay, so that there we go. Sounds good.
I've got some urgent news to tell you. Thank you so much for joining us.
27-year-old Jody Husentrud had a bright future in TV news.
It's like bringing triplets home from the hospital. Tragedies like this aren't supposed to take place. You have a doozy of a time, let me tell you. June 15th already. I was making top stories locally. So you're listening to me. Okay, I got it.
What's your name first?
Jody Husentrud. Jody Husentrud, named Jody Husentrud.
But on June 27, 1995, the hopes and dreams of the hometown TV anchor mysteriously faded to black. The morning news anchor was due at Mason City's KIM TV at 3:30 a.m. to anchor Daybreak. By 4 a.m., her producer Amy Coons called her.
So by 4, she wasn't in. So I called her. Obviously, I'd woken her up. Didn't seem anything out of the ordinary. Just, Jode, where are you?
Hey, Miranda, how are you? Good to see you. Just kind of going over the latest on the Jody Husentrud thing. As long as nobody calls me Flint Farmer, that's fucking classic. I'm as well as can be, I guess. There's just there's so many freaking cases going on right now. I'm actually backlogged here with cases. I wanted to do some on the case that Doodlebug was talking about this week. But there's just not enough freaking time. And then of course I want to go over the Timothy D's case again. But I will see. I know I'll get to them at some point. It's just I can only hold on. I mean, my computer's getting for only so long I can hold on to these cases here before I have to start doing something about it. The Jody Husentrud thing came out a couple days ago, so I wanted to touch base on this here.
Hey, I'm like, it's 4 o'clock. You coming into work? I'll be right there.
It was the last time anyone spoke with Jody. She never showed up for work that morning. They called police to check on her.
By the time I got here to the station, it wasn't just a case of Jody was ill or Jody overslept. It was there's police at her parking lot, Doug, and they're looking at it as a possible crime scene. That just stops you in your tracks. And crime scene, what the heck?
Mason City Police said they arrived at her apartment complex after 7, found nothing unusual inside Jody's second-floor apartment. But outside, the officer found signs of a struggle next to her car, still parked there. The key to her red Mazda Miata bent. Her hair dryer, earrings, and hairspray found...
Hello, Trucks. Good to see you. Trucks 55's here. She's probably fashionably late. Just going over the latest on the Jody Husentrud case.
Scattered on the ground nearby.
Information that we have acquired today and over the investigation would certainly lead us to believe it's possibly a foul play disappearance.
As search crews scoured the area, the people of Mason City on edge.
Boy, it hit me. Makes you feel bad to see somebody like that.
So basically what happened is she went to a party the night before. She went home to get some sleep. She called in the morning saying she was going to be late. And then she never made it into work. They found her car in a parking lot. It was a car that she was, I believe, planning on buying. And it seems like there was some sort of a struggle outside of the car. She left a bunch of stuff on the parking lot there. So she never made it to work. And nobody's ever seen her since. So I'm kind of thinking that somebody there in that apartment complex had something to do with it, but who knows?
Young, she went to my church. We just talked $1 million of her.
It's very difficult for everyone in Mason City. We're just hoping that someone calls from, let's say, Colorado and says, hey, we found her. She's fine. She's on her way home. That's what I hope.
A Mason City police lieutenant said that they found the toilet seat was in the up position in Jody's apartment, raising questions if she had a male visitor. But the police chief told the local Globe Gazette the next day they found no evidence that anyone was with her prior to her disappearance. Another Mason City police official later said there were no eyewitnesses to her disappearance and very little forensic evidence was found at the crime scene. A partial palm print was obtained from Jody's car and a strand of hair was also discovered.
So she was planning on buying that car. I don't think she had bought that car yet. And there was one other tip that they found there. I forget what it is now, but I think the key, the actual key to the car was bent a little bit. So that would tell me that she had maybe locked the car and was trying to get into the car when she was attacked. I don't know. I think it was somebody that lived right in that apartment complex, because we've been there before. Remember when we drove up and down the road and we looked around, and it was a pretty good sized apartment complex there. I don't know what she was doing in that, but I don't know. I don't know that area very well. So, but it looked like she might have been a little bit too good for that apartment complex. That's all. She was a reporter, so I don't know.
In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Jody had spent time at nearby lakes, boating and partying with friends, among them John Van.
I don't think it was this guy. I just don't. I don't think he had anything to do with it, but I could be wrong.
Seiss, a man 20 years her senior, who'd named his boat after her.
I remember him throwing her that birthday party shortly before she disappeared.
That was on June 9th. Coons says that on the morning of the 27th, when Jody disappeared, before they even realized she was gone, she received a call in the newsroom.
But the phone rang at 7:20, and I thought, oh my God, I don't have time for this. Picked it up. Hi, is Jody there? No, Jody's not here. Can I ask who's calling? This is John. I'm like, okay, John, what do you need? He said, well, where's Jody? What's going on? Is she there? Is she sick? What's going on? I'm like, John, I don't know. All I know is she's not here.
That's a good question. I don't know where Shibby is. Maybe he's taking a break. Who knows?
Gotta go.
Later that morning, Jody's friends, including John Van Seiss, arrived at her apartment complex. Police say Van Seiss told them he was the last person to see Jody alive, that she had come to his apartment the night before to watch a video of the birthday party he threw her weeks earlier in Clear Lake. She was in good spirits when she left here, Van Seiss told the Des Moines Register. He also said police interviewed him and gave him a lie detector test, which he says he passed.
I've been in the police station a lot, talking to him. I gave him all the information I could possibly give him. I tried to help as much as I possibly could. I've been able to verify where I've been and my times. That's not a problem. And they called me at night and asked me a couple of questions. No problem. I'll do anything I can to help. Anything.
So this is the guy here that just died. He had a battle with something. I forget what it was. I think it was it Parkinson's or something like that? But he's a dead duck. So that's why the family went to court to try to get some of the search warrants and stuff released. But they only released. I have it somewhere in my computer. The search warrant, but they only released partial. And they were doing that because they wanted to have the cops at least rule this guy out so they can investigate it. But I don't think they did that.
DCI and the FBI joined the investigation. The focus turned to a man who lived 2 blocks away from KIM-TV, convicted serial rapist Tony Jackson, and another convicted sex offender, Tom Korskadin. Mason City police interviewed both men, both denied involvement, and were later ruled out by police. It also raised new questions about a police report Jody filed the year before she disappeared, claiming she was being followed by someone in a white truck. Jody was never found, and no one has ever been charged in her disappearance.
Is it safe to say this is a homicide investigation?
We still have it classified as a missing persons case, and until there's evidence that would point us in a different direction, that's the angle that we work from.
It's safe to say this is Iowa's most famous unsolved case. What makes this case so difficult to solve?
The challenge is the age of the case. I think, we
Have a good night, Honeybee. It's always good to see you here. I know it's late for us people over here on the East Coast, but it's always good to see Honeybee in the chat. Hope you're well, Honeybee. Have a great rest of the week. Yeah, there's always a white van. Always a white van or a white car. No doubt. Any investigation, somebody always sees a white car or a white van. I think there was a white car early on in the Delphi case too. Remember somebody was putting something into a trunk or something like that. I don't know where that went.
there's no way to go back and preserve a record. Technology was clearly different when this happened back in 1995. There's just challenges to going back and essentially recreating the past.
What is ultimately going to solve this case? Is it like one more piece of a puzzle? Like what are we looking for here?
I think there are a few different things that could help us with this and that could be useful. Certainly there's a wish list for us, but I don't think that's anything we discuss publicly at this point.
The ground search for Jody on day one included about 20 members of law enforcement, and by the end of the day Tuesday, search dogs from points all over Iowa. This is when Mason City Police publicly confirmed that Jody's disappearance could possibly involve foul play, but there was still no mention of an abduction.
Scott Fuller is a member of Find Jody, an all-volunteer team of journalists.
Yes, there's either a white Ford Bronco or a white Chevy Suburban or something like that in the Evansdale case too. Yep, supposedly anyways. Beasley's in here. Hey, Beasley, good to see you. Let's see here. Beasley is watching a new live of Hunting Evil True Crime. He is naming names and giving receipts. Oh, that's terrible, Heather. Yes, it's always good to see Honeybee. Honeybee's awesome. How many people drive white trucks? It's like a thing. She got mad at me when I made light of a person who lost their life in a blueberry pancake eating contest in Canada. What the fuck? I was like, that's not exactly murder, Sonny. It's. I guess if you lose your life in a blueberry pancake eating contest, it's not the worst way to go. Right. Farmer is awesome. Farmer. You should have been a comedian, buddy. You're just classic. It's awesome. And a white Bronco too. Yep. Although that hasn't, I don't think that's been actually confirmed. I don't know, because I've asked Mr. Steve about that, and I'm kind of, I don't know if that's, I don't, in the Evansdale case, I don't know. I just don't.
Former law enforcement created in 2003 by two TV journalists, Josh Benson and Gary Peterson, to bring awareness to Jody's case.
The hope being somebody.
It would have had to be an older Bronco because they stopped making Broncos years before that. So it would have had to been an older Bronco. Mustang's leaving? OJ with the white, there you go, white Bronco, yep. And the white, weren't they looking for a white van with the Beltway snipers too? Remember, they shut down the entire I-95 corridor from the tip of Virginia all the way down to the bottom, looking for a white van. There's no such thing.
Has some information they've been reluctant to share, or they may not even know they have information that might relate to Jody's case, and that the introduction through TV or the internet is enough to bring them forward to the police and give
this
that.
Case is kind of weird because there's still not. This is a little bit of weird news because they're still not 100% thinking this is a homicide here. They're still kind of going with the whole missing persons case thing here. This is this is way back in 1985, I think. So it's been a minute, but they're still saying that there's no real evidence that this is a homicide, which is weird. That's the first I've heard of that.
Last piece of information that they need.
Find Jody has produced over 30 podcasts, hosted events to appeal for information. They've even put up billboards asking residents of Mason City not to sit in silence and to come forward. They've also done their own digging on the people who've been questioned over her disappearance, including John Van Cise.
We know that the police are very interested in Van Cise, or at least have been recently. There was a search warrant that was executed on John Van Cise.
Authorities convened a grand jury in 1997, according to LaDonna Woodford, a friend of Van Cise, who says she testified for 5 hours. In addition to the 2017 search warrant, which remains sealed, authorities convened another grand jury in 2017, for which Van Cise was subpoenaed to testify. He was also asked to provide finger and palm prints to the grand jury. Grand jury proceedings are not public. We do not know.
This is not, I'm pretty sure this is not a missing persons case, but it could be. I mean, people disappear all the time. But I think some of the evidence at the, so-called evidence at the scene would indicate to me that somebody startled her getting into her car and probably, I wouldn't doubt if it was somebody that lived right there in that. This is the same type of time frame that the I-75 guy was operating to. Daniel Nations, yeah. All right, let's do this here.
The outcome, but it's safe to assume he was not indicted.
To explain the outcome of either of those grand juries?
No, that's not something that those would be confidential court proceedings, and I wouldn't be at liberty to comment on those.
In April of 2019, Van Cise
They did. They sat a grand jury, and they didn't have the grand jury said there wasn't enough evidence for this guy. So
forward and issued 2 statements via an intermediary, saying he had absolutely no involvement in
I mean, if this guy did it, why did he wait to do it at the car? Why didn't he just do it, in the apartment? It's just it doesn't make any sense to me. Not saying that he didn't do it. I'm just saying it doesn't make. And I don't think they were actually a thing at the time.
apparent abduction of his friend Jody Husenstrude. He denied having a romantic relationship with Jody and said that since her disappearance, he has fully cooperated with all local, state, and federal law enforcement officials. He says he has been the subject of 2 voluntary polygraph tests and DNA testing. He also disclosed he had recently...
Carol's here. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Or have you been here for a while? Well, if you've been here for a while, sorry, but if you haven't been here for a while, good. Hi, good to see you. Cops say they always knew it was Blair in the truck. Why did? Hope everybody's having a good time in the chat.
Been diagnosed with moderate and advancing Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's.
Claim we cannot independently verify. Back in Mason City.
What did I say? Parkinson's? I don't know. There's just too many cases. I get confused. It sucks.
Chief Brinkley insists they are continuing to work the case.
We haven't stopped. We're still working on this. I think it's...
Yeah, you look like you're working on it. You're doing an interview.
Something that we want to be absolutely certain about at the point that we would make a move on something. And at that point, with the county attorney having some game plan for how to move ahead. And so I think we'll be very deliberate about how we handle that. We're being very deliberate about that now, particularly as we get different questions about who parties are or are not possible suspects. And we want to be very careful about that because we'll need to answer all of those questions as well in a court of law at some point, we hope.
Sounds like you're getting close.
I think that we have some working theories that we continue to work on.
Jody's family had her declared deceased in 2001. A tree they planted in her honor 27 years ago now stands quite tall in front of KAM TV, and the community desperately.
Who was the person that actually first came out with the sharpest tool in the shed cliche thing? I'd like to see the Ketty murders solved Somebody emailed me, I think it was Lisa Joe, a case last week, and I want to get into the Barbara Cotton case too. God, there's just, like I said, there's just so many freaking cases. I do have some information about the Barbara Cotton case too that I want to do a live on, but there's just not enough time. Why let her be? I don't know. Okay.
We want some closure.
I'm tired of this. We need to know what happened. I feel like
I mean, it is possible that she just took off. Highly possible, but I think it's a very, very low possibility. Just we were talking about the Ellen Greenberg case this morning on Dee Dee's channel too, and it's possible. You know, it's possible. Anything is possible, I guess. To unalive yourself 27 times. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of strange, but like I said, it's technically possible to do it, so you can't rule it out.
I don't think she'll ever be found, but I think we're close to maybe having some answers. I hope.
For News Nation, Rich McHugh.
And to honor the solemn milestone now 30 years later, friends, family, and colleagues of Jody are speaking outside of her TV station in Mason City, Iowa, for some of what they're sharing.
It's hard to fully comprehend that it has now been 30 years since our dear Jody was so senselessly taken from us. 30 years.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, it's 10%, maybe 10% as opposed to 90% missing. I think this is pretty much an abduction and an unaliving. That's my opinion.
Since we last saw her smile, heard her infectious laugh, or had a chance to hug her and tell her how much we love her. 30 years of her not being here with us to share in milestone events and make memories together. 30 years of pure anguish and torture, dealing with the loss of our Jody and trying to find answers to what happened to her 30 years ago today. Jody lived her life as an optimist, and she had a great passion for living life to the fullest. She was a bright light who made the world around her better just by being in it. Her kindness and heart were unmatched, and she had an innate ability to make those she met feel seen, heard, and valued. She had such a bright future ahead of her, and she should be here now, living out her dreams. Our sincerest gratitude to all who have worked tirelessly on Jody's case and continue to do so, including law enforcement and Find Jody. We will never be able to say thank you enough, and we wholeheartedly appreciate your dedication to finding Jody and solving her case. To all of Judy.
The Zodiac killer, in my opinion, is two people. There was the original Zodiac guy, and then a copycat that tried doing something. That's just my personal opinion. Because the Zodiac killer only unalive what, five? Was it 5 people? Was it 5? The guy in the cab, I don't know. I don't think that's part of it at all. Just don't. You've never seen a horror film? None of them? Do you not like horror films? Some horror films are actually funny, in my opinion. You can tell that they're just, actors, and a lot of fake blood. And the Bear Brook murders? Is that here in New Hampshire? Sometimes I just love looking at the chat. This chat is awesome. I'm in love with Friday the 13th. I'm a huge horror film guy, but I like the old stuff. I don't like any of the new stuff. Or newer stuff.
Jody's friends, a huge thank you for the love and support you have provided us.
Well, I can see why they did a spoof on the scary movie thing, because some of them are just really comical, in my opinion. Jocelyn's here. Where's Jocelyn? There's Jocelyn. Hey, Jocelyn, how are you? Good to see you. I hope you're well. Didn't you have a gallbladder thing? I hope you're well. Jocelyn is an amazing person. We love having Jocelyn in here. Everybody in here is amazing. Dee Dee's amazing. Mind Shock. I remember Mind Shock. Is he still? I have stayed awake nights thinking about both cases. Then Bruce Wait Centers. It's so funny.
Over the last 30 years. From interviews to establishing a foundation in Jody's name, you have been our support system on this journey, and we are eternally grateful to all of you for your.
I've seen a lot of WHORE or films. That's classic. That's good. That's good. I like that. There's some other elements to Oklahoma that don't add up. Your news Addie's here. As per Crime Night, Dave, Zodiac Killer, Garth. Yeah, didn't he call him? Didn't Joe call him and get him on the phone? Your news Addie's here. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Good to see you. Was it 5 people? I got to look it up now.
Your encouragement and for helping out whenever it was needed. Jody always told us she had the most loyal friends, and you all have certainly proven her right. Finally, a big thank you to everyone who has shown up here today and all who have supported us and continue to have interest in Jody, her story, and in seeing her case be resolved. Please know your interest and support mean the—
Yeah, it's 5. I just looked it up. The cab guy, it's not. You'd have to really convince me that that was the Zodiac guy, because that doesn't seem that doesn't make any sense. All right, we're going to get out of this one here. I just wanted to go over this. They're going to have a well, they had a thing, the nonprofit. I think this movement in this case, though, that's just why I did this. I think there's something going on here with this case, but I may be wrong. I've been wrong before. All right, let's go to this douchebag here. This wanted to cover this week too, because everybody's been waiting for this case here, like me. This is the update on the Crystal Rogers case here. I could go over the Crystal Rogers case if people don't know about it yet, but this is the main suspect here. There's a whole bunch of other people that have. I'll let the video speak for itself, though. But this is a pretty social media frenzy case here, the Crystal Rogers case. But I've been waiting for this for a while. This guy Brooks is a horrible, horrible human being. Just my opinion. So this case is going on right this very second, and this is the update on. This was done a day ago. Prosecutors end the first week of testimony in the second trial of Crystal Rogers case with what they call bombshell accusations. Right. So here we go. If you want to see a good interview or an interrogation, I always say this about this case. Look up the interrogation with the cops and this guy Hawk. He just would not shut up. It's just so funny. Oh.
Cell phone evidence and a shocking new statement from a witness on the stand, blowing holes in the alibi of murder suspect Brooks Houck in the trial of the decade underway for Kentucky, the Crystal Rogers murder mystery. It's now on WHAS 11+. And hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us as we end week 1 in Bowling Green. I'm Doug Proffitt, WHAS 11 News. On this Friday, a Louisville Metro police detective, a cell phone expert as well, taking the stand, poking major holes in the alibi of Brooks Houck using cell phone data. Plus, Steve Lawson's ex-girlfriend saying she heard the Lawsons talking about moving a body on the Houck family farm. Well, our Shay McAllister now begins our coverage going into the weekend from Bowling Green.
Well, Doug, one of the most compelling witnesses we've heard from so far was Heather Snellen. She identified herself as Steve Lawson's ex-girlfriend. She also admitted to using drugs with Steve Lawson and Joseph Lawson over the years after Crystal first went missing. And today she gave us two different pieces of really interesting information. The first is regarding a car that she shared with Steve Lawson. This has to do with that whole new theory that offense just recently introduced, the one that they're going to use to try to prove that Steve and Joseph Lawson actually weren't on the Bluegrass Parkway on July 3rd. They are going to try to prove.
You got another strike last night? How could you get a strike? Just use YouTube videos next time. They'll strike you too. If it's copywritten, then they can strike you. News is different because news is news. Every time I say goodbye, you get a strike. Well, then don't say goodbye. It was fast. Right. If you delete the episodes, they don't really. They'll still strike you, but they don't. I don't think they seem to care as much if you do that. Back to this. Does everybody know about the Crystal Rogers case? Because if not, I'll try to pull up a long history list on Wikipedia.
Prove that they were up on Boston Road, which is a road in Nelson County that just runs parallel. So she said that the car belongs to her. Her and Steve bought it when they were together before 2015, but after they broke up, she's the one who kept making the payments, and it was her car. And when she left work on July the 3rd, she was driving down the road, she passed a bar, and she saw it. So she went and got something to eat, and then came back, and using her car key, she got the car, took it, and went to try to hide it. She parked it at a family.
Let me know if Beasley wants a wrench. Link to the Bardstown murders, Dave. Yeah, it's possible that the Zodiac guy was a cop too, or some sort of a security guard.
Family member's house. She said she left it there the night of July 3rd, the night Crystal went missing. And then on July 4th, she went back and she started cleaning out the car. And while she's cleaning out the car, she said today that she found needles.
Doodlebug's here. Hey, Doodlebug, good to see you. This is Doodlebug right here. She had two awesome lives this week that I know of anyway. She had the Barbara Hall one, and then the case of, I forget the name now, Conrad something, that I'm going to try to. She's been very nice. Okay, yeah, absolutely. What was I talking about? Oh, the Doodlebug lives. I'm going to try Conrad Ashcroft. Yep. Ashcroft. Yep. Thank you. I got it in my list. There's just so many freaking cases going on right now, and that's not a excuse for me. It actually is, but there's just not enough time in the day to cover all these cases. So I'll try to fit that in next week, I think. But because I want to go over the rest of the Molly Bish case tonight and the Suzy Lyall case. But hold on, let me give Beasley. Hold on a second. I'll give Beasley a wrench here. I got too many screens open. Where's Beasley? Where is Beasley? Right there. Very good. So that should work. So let me know if that worked. All right, let's get back to this. No, he was a nonverbal autistic boy that unalived at daycare. Okay. Yeah, I get that. I get that in the pipe too. The long haul trucker thing. I just got some actually I got some more information about that stuff 2 days ago. Let's get back to this.
She found a bag of soured clothing, and then she found a little Louisville Slugger bat. That's what caught my attention because you might remember during Steve Lawson's trial, Steve Lawson testified that he pulled a little Louisville Slugger bat out of Crystal.
That's that. Hopefully, I cover that the next right after this one, Dino. Dino's awesome too. It's always good to see Dino here in the chat. But Doodlebug, go check her channel out. She does great work, awesome work. Arctic Fox was on there too. Both of them did an awesome job on that. It was just the Barbara Hall case is just so. Oh my God, it's so depressing. Every time I hear her cry, I just want to go down there. But hopefully, Steve's doing a good job on that case down there. I do want to touch base with that case too. So, I mean, Barbara Hall is just such a nice freaking person. So I'll try to fit that in too next week.
Rogers' car when he was picking up his son Joseph Lawson after Joseph drove the car on the Bluegrass Parkway, got that flat tire, and called Steve for help. Now, how it got from that car into her car and then she found it the next day, we haven't pieced all that together yet. And in fact,
Farmer's awesome at stuff too. Farmer is really good at investigating these things. So one of these days, I'd like to Ted Kaczynski, interesting.
The jurors haven't heard that Steve Lawson.
And of course, Southern Gal. Southern Gal's amazing. I haven't seen Southern Gal in a while. I think she had a live last night. Not sure. Friday night.
Some testimony. So they don't know anything about that. It's going to be really interesting to find out how or if they do present it to them. As for the second piece of information that she shared with us today, this got everyone's attention. It was something she said she overheard in 2017. She said that she was in Steve Lawson's basement doing laundry when she overheard Steve Lawson and Joseph Lawson talking about moving a body using a skid steer, a piece of construction equipment, on the Houck family farm. She said at this time they were all using drugs. She admitted that freely. And she also said after she heard this, she didn't tell anyone. She didn't go to police. She didn't talk to them about it. She said nothing to anyone. And part of the reason for that, she said on the stand today, was because she didn't want to get involved. She just wanted to stay out of it. This was about 2 years after Crystal went missing, and she didn't want to get involved in this big investigation. Well, several years later, she calls Kentucky State Police and says that she wants to give them some new information. What she actually wanted to tell them was that Joseph Lawson had been texting her about creating an alibi for that weekend of July 3rd and July 4th. She went to Kentucky State Police to one of their posts to talk to them about that. But they started pressing her for more information. And she got very emotional when she was being cross-examined about this, because Brian Butler pointed out that although she came in there willingly, they started treating her really poorly. They were yelling at her. They were saying, you know, you've got a son on the line here. She did have a custody case going on with her son. They were threatening that she could lose her son if she didn't tell the truth, if she didn't fill in the gaps, if she didn't explain more. And it was 3 hours into that interrogation that she actually shared that information about what she had heard on the Houck farm. That was the first time she said it. She said she was so stressed out, she had a panic attack during this interrogation, and she was in tears on the witness stand today when she was remembering it. I will say Crystal's family was also very upset during this, and that was one of the details they had told us previously that they were really nervous about hearing. They were worried about hearing what happened to her and some of those gruesome details, and they were shaken up by it. Now, I will say this is one of those things that the jurors are going to have to weigh both sides. Was it peer pressure from police? Did she make it up, or was it the truth? Shane Young asked her right before she walked off the stand, "Are you telling the truth? What is the truth?" And she said, "I'm telling the truth. The truth is I heard Steve Lawson and Joseph Lawson talking about moving a body on the Houck farm with a skid steer." Doug, of course, the jury gets to make the final decision here.
Shay, thank you very much. So much to talk about. A very busy end of the week in this, and the best legal analyst on the air for this case so far is WHAS 11 News legal expert, Louisville attorney Nick Mudd. And Nick, you have a lot to pick up on, especially about Heather Snellen. Okay, this is the ex-girlfriend of Steve Lawson, already been convicted in this case. He's sitting in prison.
Right.
Conspiracy to commit murder and tampering of physical evidence. Is what she said.
It worked. That's awesome. Awesome. Glad it worked. So if you have a channel, if you know people have channels, feel free to throw them into chat. Who's awesome? It was really hot here last week, and now it's getting cold again. But it's gonna, typical New England weather. It's gonna go up again next week. So hopefully one of these days we can get outside and do these lives, because I'm tired of being here in the freaking house. But it seems every Saturday night it seems to want to rain. Just trying to no sound. Way too many of these cases involving children. Absolutely. It's just absolutely horrid. Okay, let's go back to this. This Crystal Rogers case has been going forever. And finally, this is hopefully going to come to an end here with this douchebag getting. Is this a DP case? I don't think so.
That it was so important just to get into the minds of the juror, but can he be convicted of murder based on her evidence or testimony alone?
Well, no, but I think it's big. It's a big,
Thank you, Mustang.
big deal. And, this is the first time we've really heard Joey Lawson's name. We've, mentioned a little bit in opening statement. We know his attorneys waived opening reserve.
So this was day 3. So this was a day. So this is basically the update of the whole week here.
The right to open later once the prosecution proof's done. But certainly this starts to tie into Joey Lawson with Steve Lawson. And now, I assume the prosecutor, what they're going to do is to tie this to Brooks Houck somehow.
Curious, why wasn't Heather Snellen brought into the Steve Lawson case? Because Steve and his son Joseph are both charged with conspiracy to commit murder, which you would think would be tied into this statement that they were going to go move a body allegedly on an arm.
I do wonder that. It seems like she would have been a great witness for that case. Maybe the prosecutors didn't want to tip their hand that she was going to be a witness in this case. So sometimes you got to balance that. Usually you play your best cards, but they did know they were going to have a second trial. And maybe they thought this was more important, not only against Joey Lawson, but against Brooks Houck as well.
As we said just yesterday in this broadcast, I think Joey Lawson's name yesterday was only mentioned 4 times. He just sort of sitting there, those attorneys quiet. Let's go back to Heather Snellen. Tell me, as an attorney, why what she said was so important to have out there and exposed in that courtroom today.
Well, it gets out the idea of a body, meaning there's a body somewhere, meaning Crystal Rogers is deceased. That's the implication there.
Well, they've never found, I don't think they've ever found her body. So I think that's probably why this is not, I don't think this is a DP case.
Obviously knowledge on Joey and Stephen Lawson's part about a body. We don't know much details about it. That's all, maybe it wasn't much she mentioned, but certainly the jury's got a big job in judging her credibility. The attorneys for the defense tried to rip her apart and say, look, you didn't come forward till years later.
You don't get any better than Farmer, Doodlebug, Honeybee, all of these great channels in here. Chuck's got a good channel. Dee Dee's in here somewhere. Dee Dee is amazing. All these people here in the chat. Your News Addie's got a channel too. I know John Paul Hansen was in here too. But there's a lot of great people in this chat. A lot of great channels. All of these people are absolutely freaking amazing. Jocelyn too. It's always good to see Jocelyn here.
In fact, you were pressured by the police, and when initially questioned, you didn't come forward. But, the prosecution came right back and said, tell us what the truth is. Is this the truth?
Anyway, I can promote other channels to get some of these cases out there that nobody freaking talks about, to get some sort of, exposure to some of these cases that nobody, it seems like these cases go by the wayside, and, it's, I'll do it.
What you say today, and she said absolutely. And I think that that last line, the prosecution really got the last punch against the defense there with Miss Snellen.
This was a shocking bit of testimony. You could almost lay it under the category of bombshell like we had earlier in the week, only because we now have names of people that we've not heard of in this case coming out of the blue, starting to fill in the stories. The one thing I find, though, interesting is they've reported in the courtroom today that as of 2021, she had never reported this to police.
Right.
So what kind of credibility does she have, Nick?
Certainly, she's got issues with credibility. But again, she overhears this conversation, and they're talking about not just moving a body, Doug, moving a body at the Houck farm and with a skid steer. We've heard testimony before about a skid steer, Brooks Health having a skid steer, things of that nature.
That's sort of like a mini little backhoe that can move around. It's not a huge one, but
Right.
It's got the ability to shovel and dig.
Shovel, dig, let things.
I appreciate that, Jenny. Therapist, I don't know what kind of a therapist I am, but I honestly try. Thank you, Farmer. That's awesome. Farmer's awesome person, always been an awesome person. I have a lot of respect for Farmer. Couple more seconds on this, and then I want to get on to the fugitive over there, and because I think they think he's dead now, which I think he was probably unalive right after that, but we'll see. There we go. I'll pull up Flight Radar 2 here. Hold on.
Things of that nature. And that's why it's important. I think that's why the prosecution was so dead set on bringing her in today, is it mentions Houck Farm. She specifically said those words, and that was a big deal. Now, again, I'm not saying she doesn't have credibility issues, but what they're doing is, as we've talked about, they're starting to tie in everything and slowly build that case circumstantially.
As this trial gets closer to the 10-year mark of coming up the 4th of July weekend, this coming up, Sherry Ballard, Crystal's mother, has always maintained that her daughter was killed there at that farm. If I had to put today under a banner, it would be the day of contradictions for Brooks Houck. You even had a civil engineer who occasionally worked with him, I guess. Brooks Houck had reported and written that he had seen her that day. We're talking about the July 3rd area, or talked to her, but she then came in today and contradicted it, saying, no, that's not the case. I wasn't even working that day because it was getting close to the holiday.
Certainly yesterday, we kind of discussed how, in my opinion, the defense won. I think today it shifted. Prosecution won here. They put witnesses on that systematically dismantled Brooks Houck's statement. Jon Snow may end up being the star here, and I'll tell you why. He locked Brooks Houck into a statement shortly after the disappearance of Crystal. He locked him into a written statement, and he questioned him extensively for over an hour. And so, it wasn't like Brooks Houck had the benefit of going back and being able to look and say, well, I'm going to answer it this way. No.
All right.
Snow targeted in on him.
I'm glad you brought that up, because we're in just a few minutes. You and I want to ask you, because I'm fascinated by that. The whole process of Jon Snow's thinking, what he asked Brooks Houck to do.
Right.
Was he thinking to this very moment? We're going to get back to that in a second. But first, after Steve Lawson's ex-girlfriend, Heather Snellen, we've been talking about her, left the stand. A woman named Ashley Nally takes the stand, and Nally said she grew up with Crystal Rogers and did not like her. According to Nally, they had personality conflicts, adding Rogers was not an outdoorsy person, didn't like the outdoors, implying she would have never gone to the Houck farm for several hours in the rain. It was raining back then, 10 years ago. Nally also said that although the two did not get along, she always saw Crystal Rogers with her son.
Thank you, your news, Addie. Awesome. Who wanted to know something about storms? Is that Zaddy? Tracy Fleetwood's awesome too. Tracy, she's like the smartest person I know. I mean, every time I have a question, it's like quick. There's an answer right away. So this is the whole search thing. Yeah, I remember this. I've got about 4 or 5 videos on the Christopher. Listen to me, Christopher. I'm such an idiot. Crystal Rogers case buried in my live somewhere. I've been following this case for a while. Couple more seconds on this, and then we're going to move on here.
And called her, quote, an amazing mother.
That's her. She was 35 years old, 5'9", 159 pounds. So if you have any, I believe this is Kentucky. Here we go.
On the stand today. Well, after Nally left the stand, several more witnesses taking the stand, poking holes in the statement of Brooks Houck that he wrote several years ago, including Tim O'Daniel with the Louisville Metro Police Department's Digital Forensics Division there. WHAS 11's Alexandra Goldberg has one of the 2 seats assigned to WHAS TV by the court in Bowling Green. Again, cameras for...
Hold on a second. Let me get out of this here. What did I just do? All right, so I stopped sharing that there, and I want to go to the latest on the fugitive. Dave, what do you think about? I'm going to go. More few will be right after this. I promise you. I'm trying to get everything in tonight. So I've been following the fugitive guy out here in Wenatchee. It doesn't seem to be a lot of activity here tonight as far as they've been all over this area here. This is the guy they're trying to find that is suspected of unaliving his 3 kids and 3 girls there, Travis Decker here, but there hasn't been, I don't know what this guy is doing over here, but this is flight radar here, but they've been, was that a government there? Hold on. It's an airlift. Helicopter. So I've been monitoring this for the last 3 or 4 weeks here. Yeah, this is a I think this is a medical helicopter here, so it might have been an accident here. But anyways, let's see here. So they've been in and out of this area here for weeks, but like I said, there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity here tonight. They could be refueling, who knows, but what's this here? It's a Jet Ranger. They'll tell you here what it is, if it's a sheriff's helicopter or government helicopter, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of, what's this guy here? This is Pullman. This is where our friend BK Tracy would probably know about this stuff more than me too. This is a squawk helicopter. It doesn't seem like they're out doing much out here. I think the thinking is now that this guy's probably not alive. But we'll see. So let's play this here. Did I share that? Yeah. Okay. So let's go here. Let's go here to this. This is the latest on this guy here. So this is the guy that's they're thinking is responsible for those 3 little kids. It sucks so bad. It's awful. Travis Decker, a Washington father, an ex-soldier accused of, oh my God, his 3 young daughters during a court-approved visitation. How this guy was ever allowed to get with these kids, you just want to smash something. You just do this. This whole system needs to be changed here. This is just stupid. Has been the suspect of an intense manhunt for nearly a month, despite exhaustive efforts by tactical teams. They've been out there with helicopters, sometimes 2 or 3 of them at a time for like the last 3 weeks. They now say there's a possibility that he could be dead. And I'm pretty sure that because this guy suffers from PTSD, all these kind of things. So he probably I wouldn't be surprised if right after he got into the hills there, he probably just unalived himself right afterwards. I wouldn't doubt it. So here's this.
In the search for a wanted Washington dad. The manhunt for Travis Decker, the father accused of murdering his 3 young daughters, has stretched on for nearly a month. New images released by the U.S. Marshal Service highlighting the harsh conditions that tactical teams have been dealing with. Now, authorities say Decker may have died while on the run. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kennedy Walker, and I'll walk you through the details. You're watching Law and Crime. Newly released images from the U.S. Marshal Service are painting a stark picture of the relentless search for Travis Decker, the ex-soldier accused of killing his 3 young daughters, Peyton, Evelyn.
Look at these poor kids. This is just awful. This is just, it's just sad. It's awful. It's horrible.
And Olivia. The photos show tactical teams navigating rugged mountainous territory using.
I mean, this is literally no man's land out here. This is, he could be anywhere. And if he's not alive, it's going to be even worse. But the good news about him, if he's not alive, is there's not going to be a trial.
Camo, spotting scopes, and long-range precision rifles. Despite weeks combing the Washington wilderness, Decker remains a high-priority fugitive.
87% of our county is not accessible by road. If you go out there, it's steep terrain. It's heavily wooded. It's not the easiest to access.
Now, investigators say there's no clear evidence that he's still in the area or even alive. In an update, the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office writing, seemingly strong early leads gave way to less convincing proofs over the last 2 weeks of searching. Still, we can't and won't quit the search. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia Decker deserve justice. With that, the focus now shifting to recovering possible remains. Decker has been wanted since June 2nd, when a sheriff's deputy found his truck and the bodies of his 3 daughters near a remote campground. Authorities say he picked the girls up for a scheduled visitation and never brought them back. All 3 girls were suffocated, found with plastic bags over their heads and their wrists zip-tied.
It's not the decision of a sound mind, and these young girls were a victim.
Court documents obtained by Law and Crime reveal Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was supposed to get mental health treatment and anger management, but had not. Decker and his ex-wife Whitney had recently gone through a custody battle. Whitney telling the court Decker was living out of his truck and battling PTSD.
There were reported concerns of travel.
Yeah, it's possible he's in Canada, no doubt. He could have gotten, he could have thumbed whatever. I don't think so though. Like if I had to put like a number on it, I'm maybe 70-30. But they got to keep looking. They can't, because this guy's pretty dangerous. I mean, if he unalived his 3 kids, who knows what he can do. But I mean, let's hope he's not. I mean, if he did it, let's hope he's not alive. I mean, that's just my no need for a trial, right?
Travis being homeless and financially stressed recently.
Still, the veteran fought for more time with his daughters, defending his parenting in a court recording.
We've never done anything that was unsafe or anything I wouldn't want to put myself in. I understand that my current position when I'm by myself isn't ideal, but my daughters aren't a part of that.
A judge eventually ruled against him, revoking overnight visits and reducing his parenting time. Ultimately, Decker was.
Dee Dee's awesome too. Dirty Diana's got a great, she's just awesome. She's got a great channel. I enjoy, especially, Friday nights, early Saturday morning. So it's awesome.
Granted visitation with his daughters for 3 hours on Fridays and 8 hours every other weekend. On May 30th, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia left for a scheduled visit with their father, and 3 days later, their bodies were.
It's cases like this that really annoy me. This is just horrible. This poor, oh my God, this poor mother of these 3 kids. My God.
Found. Whitney Decker.
But this is not necessarily, I mean, obviously it's his fault if he did this, but I don't understand how he was able to get a hold of these children. It's just crazy.
Speaking out for the first time earlier this month.
I truly hope that the legacy of the girls' lives lives in everyone's heart forever. They were
Thank you, Doodlebug. Doodlebug's awesome too. She's what happened to Tracy? What's going on with Tracy? She was 9 at the time of death. What happened?
Incredible.
This is the mom right here.
Images released by investigators show how Decker may be altering his appearance after weeks on the run, if he's still alive. Hikers reported seeing a lone man in the wilderness in early June. A helicopter crew responded and briefly spotted someone matching the description.
What's going on with Tracy? I missed it. Hope you're okay.
But as the chopper passed overhead, the person disappeared into the trees.
The behavior that we saw from the lone hiker did not match. That was typical with everyone else we were seeing up there. So again, that sparked our interest.
Authorities say it wouldn't be unprecedented for someone to evade capture in the terrain. Back in 2020, Jorge Al.
Oh, that sucks. Recently? How come I don't know about this shit? Oh, that's terrible. That's horrible. What the hell is going on around here?
Alcantara Gonzalez, who was wanted in a homicide case, survived 23 days on the run in much of the same terrain, both men having knowledge of off-grid survival. Now, just like then, authorities are relying on tips from the public to track Decker down. And if he's still alive, they say he remains dangerous.
Guy here, this guy's a serious threat. I mean, obviously you can live in the woods for weeks, months. It's like Paula said, he could be in Canada, could be in Mexico. You never know.
When you see him, say something to us. We want to find him. We want to bring him to justice. We want to set up the opportunity for him to stand in front of our courts and our judges and face justice and hear the voices of Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, whose lives were senselessly taken by
Why do
evil.
I don't
And
know?
here to break down this story.
I didn't know that. Did I? I don't think I knew that. I don't forget about those things. It's possible though, but I don't think so. I know that you had a cousin that was unalived, right? Oh. Sheriff Mike Morris. Pause this. I don't know what's going on anymore. I just don't.
With me is founder of the Survival University and a wilderness survival instructor, Jason Marsteiner. Jason, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right in. I've been covering this.
That's Aaron Rodgers. Isn't that Aaron Rodgers? That's Aaron Rodgers right there. I don't know what they're trying to pull off in this show. That looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Jason Marsteiner. Jason, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right in. I've been covering this story for a while. I've spoken to police officers and other legal experts about their thoughts. But given that it's been 4 weeks and they don't know if he's alive or not, I wanted to speak to someone who may know a little more information.
Has that been solved, Tracy? I feel bad about that. I feel bad. That's awful. That's terrible. If I did know about it and I forgot, I'm sorry. Can someone do a background check on him to see if he's married? Who? That's not Aaron Rodgers. It looks like Aaron Rodgers.
Information just about surviving in those conditions. So first, let me start off with, do you think that Travis Decker is still alive?
My honest opinion, I don't think he is, but really at this point, it could go either way. Surviving off the land is difficult. I've done quite a bit of research on Travis. The average person can survive probably for about 3 days. The environment he's in is very rugged. If he were to stop and slow down and gather the resources and the food that he needs to, they would be able to find signs of him, right? They haven't found anything. From what I found, they found nothing other than somebody potentially saw him 25 miles away from where his truck was located, where the girls were located. He could probably make that in a 2 to 3 day hike. But with it being 4 weeks out, it's a stretch for him to be alive at the moment.
Right. And just from, I know you said the average person would only make it a few days, but with his training of being, just ex-military, and from what you've seen of the terrain in Washington, what kind of skills would someone need to survive out there for weeks?
Okay, so we'll touch on the ex-military thing. I train military special forces. I train worldly adventurers. I train your average weekend warrior. I train people that have never done anything like this before. But we'll go back to the military. I've done some research on Travis, on his military training. He was an infantryman. Now he tried to go to Ranger school, and he failed out or dropped out for whatever reason. So he's not an Army Ranger. He did not go through SEER training. From what I saw, he's not had any real wilderness survival training. That's not part of military training. They do evasion resistance.
I know that you're going to need bug spray, right? There's bugs that'll just kill you. Bear. I'm pretty sure there's coyotes out there, wolf. I don't know if there mountain lions out there in Washington. There's a lot of stuff that can kill you. So, and I think it's a pretty sparse area. So for him to get provisions and shit like that, it's going to be really difficult. Like I say, about 70%. I think he's probably not with us anymore. But I mean, it's possible.
Distance and escape. They learn how to. They learn navigation. They learn basic first aid. They learn how to combat.
Yeah, didn't they say? But Cavalcante, he was dealing with a lot of shit too. It's tough. On the East Coast, you definitely have to worry about mosquitoes. They'll eat you alive. I mean, if you don't have, especially after the rain we've been getting out here the last couple of months. I mean, you can't go outside for 2 minutes without being. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's ways to keep mosquitoes off of you, but at night. And then this whole mountain lion thing, like,
techniques, but survival training is not necessarily something that they really get into. So calling him a survival expert because of his military training is just not a thing. The majority of the military guys that I have out here do not have real survival training. I've had military vets that have never done any sort of bushcraft or fieldcraft or any sort of legitimate survival training after years and years and years of service. The only people that really get legitimate survival training are your Green Berets and your Navy SEALs and high-level Rangers and, high-level Special Forces group. Travis was not high-level Special Forces. He was an infantryman that was attached to a Ranger regiment. So there's no confirmed documentation of him having survival training outside of the basic infantry training. Now, he might have done stuff on his own on the side.
Right. I was just about to say, I think that's what police are saying, because on top of, whatever he learned.
It's sickening what he did to those girls. Yeah, absolutely. Something back here that I missed. What caused the death? Anthony Stockelman was convicted. Guys at Wabash. Was that the guy that did it? Katie's revenge on his forehead. Okay, good. Awesome. Yeah, I know. Who knows? UFO so bad.
in the military. His family, according to police, they say that Travis has been doing this his whole life, where he'll just go off the grid for months at a time. They said up to 2 months at one point, hiding food or
At this point for him, I don't think it's
caching.
I don't think it's a physical reason why he wouldn't be able to survive in the, in the mountains of Washington. In my opinion, it'd be more of a mental, PTSD is nothing to mess with. It's, plus he just unalived probably his 3 kids. So it's, I'm pretty sure, if he's going to do anything to himself, or if anything's going to happen to him, it's probably going to be by himself. It's not, well, I'm saying he's probably just not right in the head.
Is what it's called, and just surviving off of little to nothing. So I think that's why they were a little concerned about just his expertise. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if he's staying in that location, they would have found some sort of trace of him. They would have, he's got to have, most likely we would have to start a fire, to hunt, to cook food. They haven't found any traps. They haven't found anything from what.
We love Doodlebug here. Doodlebug's funny.
What I found that shows that he's still in the area. They potentially found, or allegedly, somebody saw somebody 25 miles away from his truck. That could have been him. That person was evading being seen. And from my knowledge of the area, I have done some training in Washington. My primary location is in Colorado. That's where we do our training, up in the mountains of Colorado. But I've done training in Washington. I've done training in the jungles of Costa Rica. I've done training in the desert. I've done training in the Midwest. So I'm familiar with multiple climates and areas where he's.
All right, so he's probably toast. I mean, it's just my opinion. I don't know if I want to hear about this guy anymore. I just don't. But I just wanted to kind of give an update on that. Like I said, this is nowhere to be if you're trying to survive. It's pretty brutal out here. It's I just don't think he's with us anymore. So let's do the Barry Morphew thing really quick. Well, not really quick. I'm trying not to rush things, but I do want to get to the other things. So let's do the Barry Morphew case. We'll go to Vinny for this. So this guy here, they've been looking at forever when it comes to this case. This was done 3 days ago with Vinny. I'm pretty confident that the husband did this. I'm about 70% probably. But this is going to be a really tough case to crack here because they already arrested him once. And they botched that up pretty good. So, and then they actually found her body, like sheer grace of God, they found her body somewhere. And they found that she was actually tranquilized. So, and then it took them about a year to arrest him. So I don't know what's going on in this case. And why it took so long to rearrest him. But anyways, Vinny Bolotan investigates why Barry Morphew was reindicted. See that reindicted thing for his wife's unaliving. The evidence that led to this decision and the pause. I downloaded the probable cause affidavit, but I haven't been able to completely read it. But they got a lot of evidence against this guy, but he's got some really good lawyers because he's stinking rich. And there's a real possibility he could be acquitted on this. That's just my opinion. Finally, Susan's body was found September 22, 2023. I've done 6 or 7 different lives on the Susan Morphew case. This is this should have been solved a long time ago, literally. But anyways, here we go. Karen Lee's here. There she is right there. Hi, Karen. How are you? Good to see you. You're in another late night stream. It's always good to see Karen Lee here. Hope you're good. I saw what you sent to me about the heat thing. I love warm weather, so yes, I probably am one of the only ones, but it can't get hot enough out here for me. I live here in New England, so 70, 80 is not hot enough. We need 90s.
Morphew. Her husband, Barry, has been charged with a murder, but has proclaimed his innocence. Charges were dismissed the first time he was arrested. Will these new charges stick? Here's the story. On Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020, Suzanne Morphew vanished from her home in Chaffee County, Colorado. Her bike was found abandoned on a remote trail, but Suzanne was gone without a...
Like I go to half of my family lives in Florida, and it's funny because we go down there, and I'm very, very much like my mother. It's never hot enough. I could live in Florida in a minute. It's perfect heat, humid, hot, and right by a beach. That would be my ultimate white sand beach for sure. So the western side, I could live there. One of my favorite places in the world is Naples, Florida. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Trace. What began as a missing persons case soon spiraled into a complex investigation riddled with secrets, suspicion, and heartbreak.
This guy's such a douche. He's so guilty, it's not even funny. I mean, how many people, if you get into this, oh my God, this case is so weird. If you get into this case, this guy was supposedly chasing squirrels around his house with a horse tranquilizer gun. It's just so, these excuses that it's so dumb.
Suzanne, a beloved mother.
And they just ended up finding her body. I shouldn't be laughing about this. This is murder here, but they finally found her body, and come to find out, yep, she was shot by a horse tranquilizer. It's like you can't make this stuff up, man. It's just, and there's a really good possibility that this guy could be acquitted. It's just you can't make it up.
Mother of two had been texting a lover and expressing fears about her troubled marriage. Her husband, Barry Morphew, insisted she'd been taken by a mountain lion. But investigators uncovered deleted messages, GPS data, and inconsistencies in his story. In 2021, Barry was arrested and charged with...
We love Karen Lee. Karen Lee's an amazing person. She's over here saying hi because she's probably in another chat modding, but she's a great person. It's always good to see her here.
With her murder, but with no body, insufficient evidence, and ethical issues connected to the prosecutor, the case was dismissed without prejudice. Then, in a shocking turn in September of 2023, Suzanne's remains were discovered in a shallow grave nearly 40 miles from where she disappeared. Now, almost 2 years later, her husband Barry has once again been charged with her murder. This has been a real true crime mystery.
I had the map up
throughout.
We had the map up last week, 2 weeks ago. I'll pull it up again, but
I mean, it began with a missing mom, goes missing on Mother's Day of all days. Like, where is she? And then there are some certain clues that are followed. And then all the twists and turns of the investigation and prosecution of the case have brought us to this moment. And a huge development with the DA making this huge announcement. Take a listen.
I can announce today that the 12th Judicial District Grand Jury returned an indictment. The grand jury has indicted Barry Morphew on the single count of murder in the first degree. Law enforcement, the Chaffee County community, and Colorado as a whole has never stopped fighting for justice for Suzanne.
And remember, she hasn't stopped fighting because there were charges. he was brought into court. He was locked up, all that. We were moving towards a trial, and then everything happened and the charges.
All right, so hold on a second. Truck equals Mustang 65. Good to see asshole spelled backwards in here. Hold on 1 second. Stop screen. I want to do this really for a second. This is the one. We pulled this up last week, remember? Okay, so I know you can't see this very well, but this is just the crux of it. This is where basically where Barry Morphew was when she vanished in Denver. He was supposedly up here doing some construction work. This is where they saw him dumping stuff into trash containers here all over the place. This is where they lived in Salida here. I got all of this stuff in my computer, but it'd take too long to find it. This was where her bike was found technically, so it was basically due west of where they lived. I could probably figure out how the distance to that, but this is where they found her body, way down here in Moffat County here. Yeah, but that's basically the gist of it. And they found the body. I think it was a tip. Somebody tipped the body in. They did this, I think it was about a year or so later. Just wanted to share that with people. We did this whole thing last week. So let's stop sharing that. We'll go back to the video. This is going to be a tough case, I'm telling you.
Charges were dismissed, which brings us to the first question in our investigation tonight. Why was Barry Morphew re-indicted? What has changed in this investigation and in this case? Here to help answer that question, Colorado-based attorney Stephen Longo and retired homicide detective Vince Velasquez. You know him from ATL Homicide, but he is set to premiere a new show called The Murder Man on YouTube, and we are all looking forward to that. Make sure you check it out, folks. The Murder Man. Vince Velasquez, great to have you here as well. Okay, let me start with you, though, Stephen, on the legal twists and turns here with the indictment, the re-indictment, et cetera. It seems there were big problems with the original prosecutor and the way they were going about prosecuting this case.
Yes, Benny, thank you for having me. You hit the nail on the head. The biggest issue with why...
Yeah, the defense lawyer for this guy here is probably one of the best defense lawyers in the country. This is not going to be an easy case, but there's no doubt in my mind this guy did this. I'm pretty much at 80% probably.
This case is being re-indicted is because the first prosecution, to put it plainly, fumbled the case, okay? They had a case based on circumstantial evidence to begin with, but the district attorney, Lindsay Stanley, committed a number of ethical violations. Mind you, she was newly elected at the time. So following her being elected, this is her first big high-profile case, and she comes out of the gate by committing what we call extrajudicial statements to the press, meaning prejudicial statements that might make it so Mr. Morphew won't be allowed to have.
We love Heather here. Heather's amazing. Heather is, like I said, I got Heather's GoFundMe thing. We got Heather's GoFundMe thing that Kira created here. Scrolling across the bottom here, Heather's an amazing person. She's going through a lot right now, so that's why we got that there. Percentages say Abby and Libby were murked. I do know that there's in domestic cases like this here, it's I think it's like 7 out of 10. Oh, we love you, Heather. Absolutely.
Trial. She was cited for improper supervision. Her office failed to make proper disclosures, resulting just months before trial.
And you know what's going to happen in this case, in the trial? They are literally going to make Susan Morphew look like the worst person that ever lived on the planet. That's just how defenses work.
11 of their 16 experts.
Because I think she was technically having an affair at the time. That's just me. Some guy from Ohio, I think, actually.
Witnesses were not going to be allowed to testify. Following that, she tried to have the judge who made that ruling investigated in an attempt to get a recusal. So following all that, just months before trial, to save face and to save the case maybe for another day, the charges were ultimately dismissed.
This is really cool. I have, let's see here, I had 28 people in here. 29 people actually in here, and that's the most I've ever had in one shot. So I appreciate that, guys. You guys are awesome. If Mustang says it's not them, then it's not.
This is one of those cases, right, where the investigators do all the work and then the lawyers totally bungle it. But I want you to take a listen to some of the key evidence, I believe, for this re-indictment that is really helping, may help prosecutors get a conviction here if the jury believes it. Take a listen as Cody Thomas walks us through it.
In the grand jury indictment, the district attorney explains the drugs
This
found.
thing is long. I got it pulled up down here at the bottom. I was supposed to do this week, but I didn't do my homework, so I apologize for that. But this is a long and arduous thing here. There's a lot to it.
Found in Suzanne Morphew's bones. It's, quote, a chemical mixture known as BAM, or the combination of butyphenol, azaparone, and metatomidine. The chief toxicologist tested Suzanne Morphew's bone marrow for the presence of BAM. All three of the individual chemicals that comprise BAM were present. The coroner's office determined cause of death and manner of death as follows. Homicide by unspecified means.
I mean, who else is out there running around? This is so stupid. It's just so dumb. Who else in that area is out there running around with this? Oh my God.
In the setting of BAM intoxication. BAM could only be obtained by prescription from a veterinarian. BAM must be administered into the bloodstream through intravenous or intramuscular injection. BAM does not cause sedation instantaneously, but takes several minutes to take effect. BAM is designed not to be lethal and comes with reversal agents in the
FDA, not approved for any human use.
prescription kit. However, BAM is not FDA approved for any human use. The compound would render the recipient wholly immobile, vulnerable, and unable to resist any constrictions to the recipient's ability to breathe. Records were obtained for BAM prescriptions related to Barry Morphew. The prescription records show that when Suzanne Morphew disappeared, only one private citizen living in that entire area of the state had access to BAM, Barry Morphew.
That's funny because the whole time I thought that was you, buddy. Like, I thought Eloise was you. Where is everybody? Whole ass. That's when people ask me, how do I know what it feels like to have a gun held in my head? I say, I only know.
Barry Morphew used BAM to sedate and transport deer on his deer farm. Barry Morphew admitted to using BAM in both Indiana and Colorado. Specifically, he admitted to using BAM in...
It's almost like, there's only so many, like, I don't know if you guys have ever played the game Clue before, right? There's only so many scenarios. Totally seems like a name I'd use. Absolutely. Absolutely. This case is just crazy hysterically. I mean, it's just, how can it not be this guy?
Colorado as recently as April of 2020, stating that at that time he had tranquilized a deer from the breezeway of the Morphew residence.
Vince, sounds to me like prosecutors believe that he hunted down his own wife with this BAM.
Yeah, this is literally
No, he was hunting squirrels, right?
the proverbial smoking gun. Know of that would have been presented in the first trial that still exists today. And that's the great thing about circumstantial evidence. It never goes away.
Others like, I mean, it's just, oh, who's saying sorry? That was a true story. Oh, sorry. The perp was Norm Jones. I testified on the stand against him, sent his ass up the river. Nice. Good job, buddy. I've lost control of the chat for sure. I'm pretty sure you can come up with another name, though, buddy. You really do.
Is the smoking gun.
The Charles Manson one is perfect.
In her bones, this animal tranquilizer is found. And then they find this same authorized to have it. I mean, you know, this is one of those things that as a homicide detective, this is like a gift.
What are the I mean, I have to look that up. What are the chances that somebody it's got to be in the almost like 1 in 6 trillion possibilities
from the homicide gods.
Another part of it is the darts, and I'm wondering here, how on earth, and Stephen Longo, from your perspective, what do you think prosecutors are going to argue happened here? Like, how are they going to tell a story of exactly how he did it, or just put the pieces out there and say we don't did it, but this is what he used?
Yeah, I think the theory from
I'm telling you, man, I love Vinny sometimes. He's just so freaking funny.
the former prosecution was that he tranquilized her with an unknown agent, chased her around the house as it took effect, and then moved her body initially to where he committed the murder, whether that was in the home or somewhere else. And I think, to Vince's point, this is that smoking gun. It is no longer a mysterious agent or chemical. It is a trifecta of sedatives known as BAM that is sold by one.
Yeah, I don't know what got into me. I mean, this case here is just daughters are sticking right by her husband, the husband, which is, I think that's actually kind of normal. I mean, I guess they would call that denial, probably. But I mean, he might not have done it. I mean, there's a possibility he didn't do it, right? I'm pretty sure there's other people in the area that are running around chasing squirrels around the house with, horse tranquilizer gun. It's possible.
Private company. And
that's a good-looking family right there, though, bro. That's a good-looking family. But apparently, she was cheating on him. I mean, that's what I got. Or at least having an affair over the phone. That's
in the United States that is heavily regulated, and he is the only private citizen who has access to it in the state of Colorado. This completely fills in the kind of any holes the defense would have to make as to the use of a sedative. And again,
like I said, Farmer's an amazing guy. Just it's always good to check out some of his. He does a lot of shorts and a lot of live and stuff like that. It's hope you do.
And the body being found was the big component.
I mean, she is such a good-looking woman, though.
That evidence.
Yeah, that was so crucial, Vince, actually being able to track down Suzanne's remains and be able to extract this type of.
Thank you, Doodlebug. I appreciate that.
It's crazy. So prosecuting a case without a body, I've never had it. In the many years I worked homicide, I had cases that had a ton of circumstantial evidence, but prosecutors are really hesitant on going to trial for that, and it's difficult. And it's no surprise that they dismissed this case without prejudice, hoping that either find her body or more evidence, and they did. They did exactly that. And the fact that they found her body, that is step number one. And then manner, cause of death, ruled a homicide, and then this animal tranquilizer found in her bones. This really seals the deal. Add that with all text messages, the fact that marriage was in shambles, that she was leaving him, having an affair, all of these things the jury's going to hear. This is great evidence, and it proves, or at least it shows that this guy is likely responsible for her death.
Stephen, when you think about what happened first time around, they didn't have all of this evidence. They've got more second time around. It's almost as if the district attorney screwing up the case may actually help the prosecution. Is there any sort of limitations that the prosecution will have second time around here because of what happened first time around?
No, there will be no limitations. I think one of the differences we'll see in this, obviously, Ann Kelly is lead prosecutor for the district attorney's office. Because the body was found in the San Luis Valley, they changed from Chaffee County down to Alamosa, which will be a little bit, and ultimately won't have much of an impact other than getting another shot with more evidence, with a body. And I think Ann Kelly's going to do a great job. She's going to be a hard-nosed, tough, and by-the-book prosecutor and likely bring this one home.
Vince, how about making that transition from it being a missing persons case to then turning into a homicide case? And I know different jurisdictions handle that differently. Is there some nuance to that?
I mean, there could be, but I think, from the onset, I think everybody was suspicious of Barry. Looking at the video you just showed, when he's on the news talking about literally telling the news that he is, missing his wife. If anybody's out there, let her go, come home safely. If you look at his face while he's saying these things, he's shaking his head no. That's nonverbal incongruence. It's not matching up. His words and his body language are not matching up. From the beginning, everybody suspected Barry of having something to do with his missing wife. So if you can't find a body, you don't know exactly what happened to her, then you have to rely, or the prosecutors have to rely on the circumstances to try and prove a homicide. It's extremely difficult. The fact that they found her body, that kickstarted this thing right back up. And that's what we're talking about it today.
I mean, the elephant in the room in this case is going to be that so-called DNA that was found in the car, or supposed DNA that was found in the car, which is why I think they had to, abort the first trial. So we'll see. So that's this. Let's see here. I'll play a little bit more of this and then we'll go on. I definitely want to get into the Molly Bish case next here.
From what I've read, this evidence is very strong, and I think the jury's going to come back with a guilty verdict.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much. Vince is going to stick around. Coming up next, what was the status of Barry and Suzanne's relationship?
Oh, yeah, that's the meaty part. It's like they, like I said, this is not going to be that easy of a case. It's just my opinion. All right, so I do want to move on to some of the cases that I wanted to cover tonight. Now that we got some of the true crime stuff out of the way here, as far as trial cases stuff. So I want to move on to this here. So let me hold on a second. I already got that pulled up, so let's do this here. Give me 2 seconds here. Sorry. We went over this Molly Bish a little bit a couple of weeks ago, I think. Right here. So we'll play this one first. All right, give me a second. I'll stream this here. I already got the. Is anybody aware of this case here? Does anybody know about this case? All right, so I'm going to play a couple of these. I'm going to play one from my buddy here that works at NBC 10 Boston. Here, I got the okay to go with this here. I'm sorry, he works at Boston 25 News. Sorry. We'll play this one first. I got the Wikipedia thing pulled up already, and so here we go.
Still seeking justice. This weekend marks 25 years since the disappearance of 16-year-old Molly Bish of Warren. She disappeared during a lifeguarding shift at Commons Pond back in the summer of 2000. NBC 10's Aaron Coogan joins us live in Warren tonight, where family and friends will soon be hosting a vigil. Aaron.
Yeah, well, Sam, since we last checked in about an hour ago, the crowd here at Warren Commons has grown quite a bit. Friends and family of Molly Bish now awaiting the beginning.
Okay, so this is in Warren, Massachusetts, and I got the Wikipedia thing pulled up, so let's do that. I like to use Wikipedia. I don't trust them 100%, but I get some sort of a just in the case here. So we went over this a little bit last week. The killing of Molly Ann Bish is an unsolved child murder that occurred in Warren, Massachusetts, after 16-year-old high school student Molly Ann Bish disappeared while working as a lifeguard in June 27, 2000. So 25 years ago. Her disappearance led to the most extensive and expensive search for a missing person ever undertaken in the state of. This was a huge case in Massachusetts for a long time. And I think this is actually when they started implementing the actual Amber Alert here in Massachusetts. So in June 2003, Bish's remains were found in Hampton County, 5 miles from her family home. And police believe that Bish was abducted and unalived, and several suspects have been publicly identified. However, Bish's abduction and murder case remains unsolved. So let's go back to, hold on a second. This here. This has been a big case for a while.
Of that vigil starting in just moments.
Often people are like, oh, you know, kind of careful about bringing up that topic or feel uncomfortable about it. And really, when you lose someone you love, you want to talk about them. You want to talk about, you know, the hard times, the good times.
Forever frozen in time, family and friends of then 16-year-old Molly Bish say in the 25 years since her disappearance, not a day goes by that they don't think of her and who she might be today.
Would she have kids? Would she be married? Would she be traveling the world? And all those things can be true, you know.
It was the year 2000, June 27th, that Molly was working a summer lifeguarding job at Commons Pond when she never came home. A day-long investigation into her disappearance quickly turned to weeks, months, and then years, until in 2003 her remains were discovered nearly a mile from the pond. 25 years later and still no convictions in Molly's case, it's a reality her older sister Heather says weighs on the family to this day.
I will scream from the highest mountains for justice for my entire life.
But through the heartache, Heather says much has been done to keep Molly's spirit alive. The Bish family founding the Molly Bish Foundation, which in more than 2 decades of advocacy work has forever left a mark on missing persons investigations throughout the region.
My parents started the first Missing Children's Day in Massachusetts, and they were a part of bringing.
So what interested me in this case, and what interests me in this case is, I'll pull that up in a second, but what I want to do now is I want to go to here, hold on a second here, to give people kind of an idea of where this is. So here's Cummings Pond here. It's a beautiful place. It's way away from the monotony of Boston and some of the other bigger cities here. So I'll back out here. So this is there's Warren there. It's actually one of the parts of Massachusetts that a lot of people don't see because it's out kind of here in the boondocks. So here's Worcester here, Boston's over here. So it's kind of in this, the Berkshires out here, I think. So I'll zoom in here. So it's pretty rural, it's there's not a lot going on here. There's not a lot of routes here. If you're trying to get out of Massachusetts and say you're going from Boston to say Connecticut, New York down here, obviously you go by 290 here, the Mass Pike, but it's right here. And this is, I'll get some photos up for people here. This is obviously in the fall. Beautiful place. So she was a lifeguard here. That's a dead fish. Some guy, I don't know who that is. I don't like to show people, so let's get out of that there. So that's that. So I just wanted to show people here. I want to do one thing here. Go for a little ride here. Hold on a second. What I just do? There it is. Okay, so this is basically how all ponds are pretty much around here. There's just one way in, really, and in order to get out, you got to go back the other way. So I kind of want to. I think I can go no. Go this way. Hold on a second. So I can't get over there. Okay, so I can't do that. But anyways, so this is the pond here. There are some homes in here. There's neighborhoods and stuff. Why can't I get that there? Anyways, so there are. I mean, it's kind of tucked in here to these other. So she could have been, she could have been grabbed by anybody here in this area here, really, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not as secluded as I thought it was. So, all right, so let's go back. I do want to play one more thing here. I just try to get a good idea of where this is. And a lot of these unalivings happen from people who are really close to the scene. But I want to go back here. All right, so I do want to play this one here. Let's play this one here.
Tomorrow marks 2.5 decades since Molly Bish vanished from Worcester County. It's a case we've covered from the beginning, and that continues tonight.
Western Mass News reporter Sloan Wick has spent the last 2 months researching and remembering Molly.
This is the spot Molly Bish disappeared from 25 years ago. The 16-year-old clocked in for her shift as a lifeguard right here, a shift she would never come home from.
Molly's sister Heather says Molly was like every other high schooler.
My father often described her as, everyone had a Molly. She was your neighbor, your best friend.
This is where Molly's mom, Maggie, dropped her off for her shift on June 26, 2000, the day before.
I might have to go down here to check this place out here, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar to most New England ponds where there's very few people that actually live along the banks here. And there's very few roads in and out. You got a lot of trails and stuff in here, and but
For the disappearance. It was a beautiful summer morning, about 75 degrees, according to Worcester County records.
Her 8th day of work,
The water lapping normally.
her 2nd day without my brother.
Things were calm, but a silent storm was brewing.
I had an 11-month-old baby, and Molly really loved Michaela and wanted to see her.
When Maggie looked over this,
I love Naples. I love Vanderbilt Beach. It's arguably the coffee down there sucks, but everything else is great. So, I mean, when you're in Florida, you don't really drink a lot of coffee. Give Manson a wrench so I could block that account, please. Okay. I think you can block anybody you want. So, what was I just talking about? Oh, I wanted to do this. Hold on one second. I want to go back to this here. You love what's a vowel? I don't know. I'm a white sands kind of guy. The eastern side of Florida is good too, but I'd prefer the western side. So on June 27th, Maggie took her daughter to Cummins Pond and left Bish by the lifeguard station. Maggie did not see the suspicious man who she had spotted the day before. However, another person claimed to have seen a man who looked like the stranger in the parking lot just minutes before Bish arrived. A local worker also mentioned seeing a similar car parked at a cemetery. Here we go at a cemetery again. That was linked to the pond by a path. Maggie was the last person known to have seen her daughter before she went missing. A few hours later, the police reached out to Bish's parents to inform them that they had not been a lifeguard on duty all day. So she must have disappeared right away, and that Bish's belongings had been left at the station. So she left everything there. So this is 2000, so there was probably cell phones and stuff. An extensive search was launched immediately. This is one of the biggest searches in Massachusetts history for this body here. In the fall of 2002, after a hunter spotted a blue swimsuit in the woods on Whiskey Hill in Palmer, so I'll get those directions here shortly. That's what I went to that map for. A thorough search of the area was conducted on June 9th, 2003. Bish's remains were discovered 5 miles away from her family home, although the cause of unaliving could not be established because the body's decomposed. So there you go. So they don't know how she died. All right, so let's go back to this here. That's great.
this parking lot, she noticed
What is this? This is
a white sedan. This man sat inside it, smoking a cigarette.
He just stared at my mom, and she kind of, what she calls, gave him.
So this was done 2 days ago. So yeah, this would have been 25 years. So this is the exact way the place would have looked probably. It's a beautiful plant. Is that an aloe plant? 25 years ago.
Him a teacher stare back, and that did not make a difference to him.
Cummins Pond in Warren looked mostly the same the next day. 80 degrees, serene waters, but this time, no man in the parking lot.
Farmer, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. I just hate being a guest. I don't know why I hate being a guest. But absolutely. Farmer's awesome. Thank you for coming in, buddy. I appreciate it a lot. Have to get together at some point here, for sure. But have a great week, buddy. It's always good to see you, man. Farmer's awesome. Just great person.
Molly had said to my mom, "Don't worry, Mom, it's just fishermen."
Molly was only here a few minutes before she vanished. Police first searched the water, thinking she might have drowned. Because of that, they didn't close off the area around the pond at first. That's when Heather's
Lifeguard drowned.
frustration with the investigation started.
And they were not listening to what the family said were characteristics of Molly, which was that she preferred pool swimming.
The crime scene was compromised because there were a lot of people looking in the water, looking for tips, hints around her chair. Things were disheveled, things were moved around. But we do have a good picture.
Joseph Early is the Worcester County District Attorney. He wasn't in charge when Molly disappeared, but he is now. He says people from across the state came together to look for Molly.
I don't always know what grabs people's heartstrings, but this one sure has.
That'll be the K-9 commences water search.
Volunteers and police officers scoured the area around the water. They found Molly's chair still out and her bag right next to it, but no sign of Molly herself. That wouldn't come for years.
In June of 2003, almost exactly 3 years after Molly first went missing, her body was found here in Palmer. Now, take a look around. This is not an easy place to navigate. The only reason that Molly's body was found is because a hunter was out here and he found what was a piece of Molly's bathing suit.
I felt very unsafe for many, many years. It wasn't just the loss of my sister. It was the crime that was committed against her. And that has changed my life in ways we wouldn't have time to sit here and describe.
Evidence led police to multiple people over the years, but now the DA tells us they're focused on just one.
And why are you so interested in Frank Sumner?
I can't get into it too much because it would compromise the investigation, but there were a lot of things that led us to Frank Sumner.
But Heather isn't as sure.
Besides that, he's a convicted rapist. I don't really have much information on why they are so convinced.
Sumner died in 2016, but police still consider him their only suspect. He looks a lot like the man Molly's mother saw. He lived in Spencer. That's about 20 minutes east of Warren. Still, police haven't arrested anyone in the case.
Anytime, bro. Anytime. For sure. Okay, so I do want to, sorry, I keep breaking into this here, but so the reason why this case interests me a little bit, well, a lot actually, and I do want to go to this here because I literally have been following this guy here forever. The Maine South Woodsman unaliver. So the Maine South Woodsman unaliver was a SKer who murdered between 3 and 5 prostitutes in Worcester, Massachusetts from 2002 to 2007. They arrested a guy called Alex Cesney, who was basically sentenced for one of the unalivings. But the reason why I bring that up in the span of crimes here, Massachusetts here, is if I go, hold on a second here. So this is the first confirmed victim, was Carmen Rudy. But all of these victims have, the same pretty much thing in common, but and it's probably not him at all, but who knows? We go here. So if you take a look here at the map again, hold on a second here. I've had a lot of actual PROSTITUTEs. Prefer to be called PROSTITUTEs. They not a lot of them don't like to be called SWs. So I try to use the SW. Right. So So this is what I'm thinking. This is the map here. So here's Warren here, and there's Worcester. It's only a 39-minute drive here. So, and he, hold on a second. So it's possible, and this is right around the same time frame. So it's possible, but I just that's what got me attached to this case a little bit. All right, so let's go back to this here, and I do want to go on to the no, but I've known a lot of I grew up in Boston. Go back to this here. Where'd DD go?
So to put this in context, I was not born when Molly disappeared. This was 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
How active is this case still?
We get new tips, we get new information every week, sometimes several days a week. So I'm real optimistic about yes.
I'll tell you, like it depends on the month, right? A lot of times people like to be called a certain thing, and then another month they don't like to be called a certain thing. I try to say SW when it comes to how it's worded in the thing, but this document literally said, the PRO word. So that's how I read it. I'm kind of like whatever's in front of me, I'll read, bro. Let's go here.
Saying, this was the person who did it. This is the person we believe we did it. And if they're still alive, we'll bring them to trial. If they're gone, we'll make that announcement.
Despite that confidence, Heather wants her sister's case given to the Hampden County District Attorney. She says she's fed up with what she calls a lack of communication.
Get up.
I have an interview to talk with the DA. What would you like me to ask him?
What are they doing? Pretty simple. I mean, they don't. I mean, it's been 25.
I have that way with people. I like to put people to sleep here. Yes, I have. In fact, there's an episode of Howard Stern where he interviews. I think it was Howard Stern. Pretty sure it was Howard Stern, and they said the same thing. It depends on who you talk to. I hope you're okay, Dee Dee. Getting some crazy lightning here. Where are you? You're in.
5 years of.
I know they don't like to be called the W word, for sure.
Stonewalling, and not telling us anything.
We're doing everything we can.
Depending on the night, $30, you can call them anything you want.
To solve this case, I can understand the frustration. There's never any real. We return our phone calls, we make calls, we share information, but I think part of that comes out of, Heather's frustration. There's no reason to take it away from this office and give it to another DA's office. They'd have to start fresh.
Regardless of who has her case, Molly is more than a file.
She was funny and she loved to make people laugh.
More than a picture.
She would always, impersonate the movies that were popular.
More than a pond.
She played 3 sports.
Or a crime scene.
She loved babies and kids.
But all of that was taken from the Warren community and from Heather. All she has now is a question.
Who killed you?
And a reminder.
There's not just one bad guys. They don't look like monsters on the outside of society. They're right here. And, we need to be really less complacent with abusive behaviors.
Sloan Wick, Western Mass News.
Yes, they're all nice. I'm not going to try to be political here, but I'm the first person that's going to tell you that I think prostitution should definitely be legal. So, anyways, I just checked on the storms in Wisconsin here, and you guys are getting clocked here, especially in right around Route 78. So it'll be quick moving, that's for sure. All right, so what am I doing now? I want to do this one here. Hold on a second. Let me go back to this. And I wanted to do my buddy's one here. Turn this for a second until I can find it. This is a case that's been going on. The reason why I wanted to cover this here is because it's an interesting case. Okay, so we played that one. We played that one. We haven't played that one. I'm just trying to find the right one. Here it is. It's this one here. Did we do that already? I don't think so. All right. So let me share this one here, and then we'll move on to the other case. Just happy my internet's working a lot better tonight than it was when I did my last live. Okay, I think this is the one here.
New England's Unsolved with Bob Ward.
25 years ago, teenage lifeguard Molly Bish disappeared from the town of Warren. The Bish case is one of the biggest investigations in the state's history, and I've covered her disappearance from the very beginning. In this New England's Unsolved, we look at how, even a quarter of a century later, no one is forgetting Molly.
In Warren, Massachusetts, the seasons might change, but not much else really does. It is a small New England town where most people prefer to quietly live their lives, far from the big city concerns of places like Boston or Worcester. But it is here that the unsolved murder of Molly Bish still grips the community.
We're just sad. We've come to this point. It's been 25 years.
Heather Bish is Molly Bish's sister.
We miss Molly just as much as we did that first 25 minutes.
Molly Bish disappeared from Commons Pond, where she was a lifeguard on the morning of June 27, 2000. Molly vanished only minutes after her mother, Maggie Bish, dropped her off. Heather Bish tells me before Maggie and Molly got to Commons Pond, they stopped by her house, where Heather was recovering from a stomach virus.
I never knew that. 15 to 20 minutes.
This guy's been covering this case for a while. Pimp Zaddy. That's funny. All right, so let's keep going here.
Minutes before your sister disappeared, you saw her for the last time.
We always hugged and kissed each other, and I didn't want her to get my stomach bug, so I didn't kiss her. I told her I loved her. I have that, but I didn't get to kiss her goodbye until we found her remains 3 years later.
The summer of 2000 consumed the town of Warren. Hundreds of volunteers looked for Molly. A sketch of a possible suspect, an unidentified man that Maggie Bish saw at Commons Pond the day before Molly vanished, was distributed everywhere. But Molly Bish was gone. Almost exactly 3 years later, June 9th, 2003, Molly's remains were found in the woods of Palmer, Massachusetts, 5 miles away from Commons Pond.
We only found 26 of her 206 bones. They were spread because of the animal
activity.
Was there any reason that Molly would be in those woods by herself?
Oh, absolutely not. I think the only reason Molly was there was because someone put her there. And they probably put her there because they knew that people wouldn't really look for her and she wouldn't really be found.
In 2009, Rodney Stanger, a Southbridge man who abruptly moved to Florida after Molly's disappearance and who was convicted of murdering his girlfriend, emerged as a potential suspect. More recently, DA Joe Early said another man, Frank Sumner, a sex offender who died in 2016, is a person of interest.
Naming Frank Sumner a person of interest was a big step forward in this case. And I wouldn't have done it without information that came in that showed that he was someone that we should be looking at. We actually called him a suspect.
After 25 years, the Molly Bish case still solvable?
Absolutely. The passion's still there, Bob. All the people working on this case want to help this family. They want to solve this.
The unsolved case of Molly Bish forever changed her town and her family. Heather Bish has emerged as a powerful voice for victims' rights, even as she continues to search for justice for her sister.
Do you think your sister's case is still solvable?
Let's see here. I'm ready to party too. Gladly. Who is Elo? That's a good question. I don't know. Don't know. I have suspects. You have suspects for Elo? Asshole backwards is an alternate account. So why didn't you time that out? I don't think I'll ever time anybody out unless it's like, completely, if anybody's like going after females or something in here or just really being a complete douche. Could be Dan. It might be Dan. That actually sounds good. I mean, that could be Dan. I'm not saying it is. Just try to get along in the chat. That's all. That's all I care about.
Absolutely. I believe that DNA technology will bring us these answers. It will never be okay to me that somebody took my sister from her place of employment at 16 years old and then left her on the side of a mountain to be eaten by a bobcat. That will never be okay. So I will scream from every mountaintop I can for help and for resolution.
I mean, that is possible. It is. I mean, in this case here, particularly, that's possible, but I would think that they would have determined that to be possible.
Solution and for justice.
If you have any information on the abduction and murder of Molly Bish, contact the Worcester County DA's office.
See, this is part of Worcester County. That's why I kind of, anything's possible these days, especially back then, these days, whatever. So I just wanted to keep going on this case here because this was a big case in Massachusetts a few years ago, and I think they're making movement on this case here soon too.
At 508-453-7575.
This is kind of the same kind of decade that Mara Murray went missing too. So,
for New England's Unsolved, I'm Bob Ward.
All right, so what are we doing now? I do want to do. Let's go to. And I'll pull this up here. Hold on 1 second here. Hold on a second. That's good. Let's bring peace and have peace. People keep attacking me when I say something back and I get timed out. They don't because they are friends with the mods. Oh, sorry to hear that, Mustang. You're always welcome in here. Just try to be, and I'm not saying you're doing anything, just saying lead with love. All right, so hold on a second. I do want to go to this here. It's good to see everybody in here. So that helps. Okay, so this is the other case I wanted to go over tonight. This is the Susan Lyall story. And this is the case I pulled from a Trace Evidence. Guy's got a great podcast every week. I think he's covered so many different millions of cases, but this one stuck out to me because it just sucks. It's they all suck, but this one here sucks even more than some of them. So I'll pull up a little bit of information. We kind of covered this the other day when I did my tropics update. But this is a really, really a terrible case here. This is coming out of Saratoga Springs area here, Albany, New York, kind of. People know recent news, Saratoga Springs with the kid that got kidnapped up there, and they found her in that guy's in the back of that guy's mother's house. He had her in the closet. They finally found her. He sent a ransom note, stuff like that. Forget that guy's name actually, but they found her alive. But that's where Saratoga Springs is. We used to go up to Saratoga Springs we still do, to see concerts all the time. I think the last band we stopped there was Dave Matthews. That was a few years ago in Saratoga Springs. It's a beautiful area. Saratoga Springs is awesome. But all right, so here we go, and I'll pull up the wiki on this here.
Moment of silence before 25 bells rang out to mark the 25 years that Uvalde student Susan Lyall has been missing.
News Today ABC's James De La Fuente was at tonight's somber milestone. Brings us more.
Dozens of people came out to the factory in Ballston Spa to remember Suzanne Lyall. Factory assistant manager says he wanted to do something impactful for the family.
Something really unique and beneficial for the entire family, and I think it's not something cookie cutter. It's something that's genuine to the experience.
March 2nd, 1998, 19-year-old Suzanne left work from Crossgates Mall shortly after 9 p.m., taking the bus back to school. Her boyfriend called her parents the next day to say she never made it back to her room. After all.
So I think he's a goner. This was done a while back. This was done 2 years ago. So I think the father's passed away, but the mother is alive. We're going to do that interview too outside of where he actually went missing. But the mother thinks it's the boyfriend. But I do want to read some of this. Hold on a second, and then we'll get back to this. No 3 suspects. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Zero Cool is here. Where's Zero Cool? Hey, buddy. Zero Cool's here. Good to see you, buddy. I think that's Dan. Is that Dan? No, that's not Dan. That might be Dan. All right, so here we go. Hold on one second. I want to show this. Sorry, I got too many screens open right now. Okay, so the disappearance of Susan Lyall on the night of March 2nd, 1998. A lot of people have tried to link this with the Israel Keys thing again, too. I just don't think that's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't think that's possible. An undergraduate of the State University in New York or Albany left her job at the Babbage in Crossgates Mall, and I got all those maps pulled up, in a nearby suburb of Westmere after the store had closed. She is believed to have taken a city bus from the mall back to the university's uptown campus, where a classmate has said she saw Lyall get off. So where a classmate said she saw Lyall get off the bus at Collins Circle, a short walk from her dorm. And I got that pulled up here. She has not been seen since. This is the strange part right here. The next morning, Lyall was reported missing. That afternoon, her credit card was used at a nearby convenience store ATM to withdraw $20. Remember that, $20. According to her boyfriend, only she and he knew the PIN. He had a verified alibi for the time of her disappearance. That's questionable, but due to his later refusal to cooperate with the police, they have been unable to completely rule him out as a suspect. So that's what I thought. A man who used the ATM around the same time has been ruled out. So that's the guy who pretty sure that's the guy who they saw in the convenience store right after using the ATM with one of the cameras. New York State Police continue to investigate the case. It's been the subject of an episode, Investigation Discovery Channel. So Lyall's parents have become activists on behalf of the families of other missing persons. So that's all the political stuff. So let's go back to the video, and I'll keep working on that. Yeah, all the mods in here are awesome. Of course, everybody in here is a mod. But you're all awesome.
All these years, Mary Lyall relies on one thing to keep her going.
Hoping that I will find Suzy before I'm not here anymore. So, that's it. I hope.
A lead in the case took police to a Stewart's shop where her ATM card was used the day after her disappearance. Unfortunately, no cameras were pointed at the ATM and no one could be seen using the machine. While keeping their daughter's case in the public over the last 25 years, Lyall's parents are also providing support to other families with missing loved ones. In 2001, the family established
Did Dino leave already?
the Center for Hope, pushing for changes to campus security in New York State. And on the federal level, Suzanne's law in 2003 raised the age someone is considered a missing child from 18 to 21. Lyall's father has since passed away, yet Mary Lyall continues to search for their daughter.
Challenging is losing my husband because he was the drive, basically. He was the one that kept me going.
Mary Lyall received a proclamation from the state for her tireless work.
Because sometimes when you have somebody who understands what they're going through, they're really grateful to have that kind of resolve.
Suzanne and all missing New Yorkers are remembered in a memorial near the New York State Museum. The Lyalls instrumental in creating this missing persons remembrance with an eternal flame. Like a mother's hope that her daughter is found, it too burns eternal. Reporting in Albany, James De La Fuente, News 10, ABC.
Well, tonight.
Okay, so I do want to play one more, and then we'll go to this interview here. Everybody's done a thing on this, so that's cool. Let's do this one here. That was the camera. Hold
For
on.
the thousands of students
Well, hold on.
returning to the University of Albany for the first day of classes.
This was done 2 years ago too. Elaine Houston was at Albany in 1998 as an extra security greeted students returning for the new semester. Lyall hasn't been seen since March 2 when she got off the bus. So we'll watch this one here. This is interesting. Is this 1998 here? Because this is the same kind of thing here. This is the lamp post. See, every 10 years or so, things change quite a bit with upgrades and stuff. So you'll see in what I got pulled up here, this is now more modern here than this wood here. But this is strange how there's almost like a security station here.
It's a day for rekindling old memories, having new hopes, and even a few butterflies. For Doug Lyall, it's a day of similar emotions, but for a totally different reason.
It's one of those reminders that, that things aren't the same, that she's not here. And
I thought I gave
helpless right now.
I thought I gave Zero a wrench. Let me what the fuck is going on here? Oh. Please don't mess with Heather. Heather is an amazing. I mean, you guys are all amazing, but Heather's even amazing. Yep. Hold on a second. I thought I gave Zero cool mod thing. All right, there you go. Let me know if that worked. That there. Okay, so let's keep playing this here. So apparently, let me go back. I'm just going to read this here. A second. Lyall was born in Saratoga Springs, New York in 1978, the youngest of Doug and Mary. The family lived in nearby Boston Spa. These are all great areas, by the way. Her two older siblings described her as the darling of the family, a quiet girl who would run out of the shower with hair still wet and write poetry in a notebook. After graduating from the Boston High School with honors in 19, this girl was really intelligent. She was a great fan of Rush. So she first attended the State University of New York in Oneida for a year, after which she transferred to SUNY Albany. Since she felt the computer science courses at Juanita were not, she was really into this computer science thing. She felt that the other college just wasn't challenging her enough. So transferring to Albany brought her closer not only to her home, but to her boyfriend, Richard, Condon, and a fellow student several years her senior, whom she had started dating when they were still both in high school. So he seems to be the person that the mother thinks did this. And the strange thing here about this case here is, like I said, Thursday, the card was used, I believe, 3 times. And the mother is the one that got this information from the bank, where they found out that the person who used the card, the PIN number worked the very first time. So that means that, it wasn't like somebody just stole the card and started using it and tried to fumble, with the PIN number. So that's kind of strange. So it's telling me that whoever used the card either got that information out of her, or 2, she had the number written somewhere, or 3, if the only people that knew the card number was her and the boyfriend, then there you go. Of course, the PIN number and the credit card thing could have been just a ruse of some sort. All right, so here we go back to this video here.
Doug's daughter, Suzanne, disappeared from the campus nearly 6 months ago. Since then, the university police have come up with 10 new safety measures going into effect this fall. And one of the changes that is of great concern to the Lyalls.
Okay, so that's the bus right there. Interesting. Is this a year ago? 2023, 2 years ago, or is this back in the day? Because like I said Thursday, some of these buses actually have, they'll have, the main entrance here to the front of the bus, but sometimes they have a double door kind of towards the middle of the bus so people can get out. Because apparently she was last seen getting off the bus. So
Is the fact that they're putting a permanent night security guard here to patrol Collins Circle.
okay, so
Collins Circle was the last
so they didn't have a night security back in 19. Okay, that's all I needed to know.
place Suzanne Lyall was seen.
I think it gives a message to everyone involved that yes, there is that that person, that protection available if needed.
Other safety measures include hiring 5 officers, putting a police substation in the campus center, putting reflective devices on
I believe
patrol
that.
cars and foot patrols, and making emergency campus phones more visible by a
LBJ is here. What's going on, LBJ? Good to see you. Nathan Lawson. I've lost control of the chat here, I think. Jesus, what's a sick world? Yes. I guess they want pedals accepted into the Slutter Gang. All right. So these are the new safety measures: 5 additional officers, a police substation, reflective devices on patrol cars, foot patrols. There we go with the feet thing again. Strobe lights for emergency phones. Okay.
Attaching a strobe effect.
The Suzanne Lyall disappearance is tragic. In many ways, it has sensitized our community to bring forth a number of suggestions that we think are excellent suggestions, and we've been able to implement. If that's made us better than we've.
All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go here. Hold on a second. Yeah, let's do this here. I'm definitely going to do 2 on this here. So this is so this is the first map I did. Is I went out, and so this is from the mall where she worked to this is the college over here. This is that station here that we were just looking at, transformed from that horrid green wood structure to this more like a metal plexicon thing here. There's that picnic table that we saw. So what I'm going to do here. So this is the actual bus route. I think this is so the bus leaves here, and I get the Crossgates Mall to so we can go here. Where are we here? This is yeah, right here. So this is the mall. So this is where the mall is. So this is I'm assuming that place doesn't exist anymore. So this is where she would have left, and I think that was I should say she left a job at the Babbage's Crossgate Mall after the store had closed. So that's about 9 o'clock, right? You think more malls close about 9 o'clock. Okay, so this would have been lit, I would think, light. Got on the bus, and she goes this way here. Whoops. Let's go out here. Okay, so we're gonna go. Turn around here. I've done this already, so sorry about my driving skills here. Of course, this is July 2022 up here, so I'm sure it would have looked a little different, but the roads are pretty much the same. So I went all the way over here. There's they don't do the stops here though. That's what's frustrating. So I couldn't find the actual stops where the bus stops, but I'm assuming, they're not going to stop. I mean, they're not going to stop in here. There's no one to pick up. But where the hell am I now? Over here. Oh, right here. I did it again. So let's fast forward over here. This is the New York Creates Albany Nanotech Complex. I wonder if this was here, then you would think somebody might want getting off work here, maybe getting off. I'm just trying to find out where these stops were because maybe somebody got on the bus. That's the perpetrator, maybe. Anyways, all right, let me play one more. I do want to play the interview here, so let's do that. So we tried to do this Thursday night, but my internet wasn't working too well. And I came on here to do the tropical update anyways. So let's do the this interview again. This is the mom. So she returns to the daughter's last known location. So I didn't know this before, but she apparently did get off the bus here. But I remember the bus driver saying the bus driver knew that she got on the bus, but the bus driver wasn't sure she got off the bus. That's what I was told. So this is different information to me. But this is the mom here.
These old maids do not like to stand in one spot. No.
And this was done 7 months ago. So this is really recent. So this is how it would probably look right now.
Very long. Not really on cement either. No. Yeah, I'm gonna have to kind of get him going again. I should have brought a chair.
So, Tina, this building?
This building was not here.
No.
Yeah, exactly. They're like the building right across from it too. And if you see this here, if you.
Carol is awesome too. Carol's amazing. Just trying to keep up with the chat. Hope you guys are doing all right. So remember this entrance here, because I'm trying to find this entrance. Hold on a second here. I might have to go over here too. So this is now, right? This is building 25. Where is this? This is, does that look the same, you think? No, not at all. Okay, well, I can do this on my own time, but I'm trying to find that exact spot where they are. This is a huge campus, so I know those are the lights right there. All right, let's go back to this video here. I hate my life. Okay, so let's I wonder if they painted that recently.
You can still kind of see it here. This here is kind of looks like more of a way for people to walk, but this road is still somewhat here that you can drive straight across. Okay,
So whoever this is a criminology professor here.
I believe that there was like a small forest of trees right in this area.
They had the road here, and the trees
have
were
a
over
road,
here.
yeah.
And then you see that road there. You know, it wasn't very. There were still trees on the other side.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that you would think would be cleared all the way up to the other buildings.
No.
But this here was the road, and why this is important is you see the road right down there. you can be parked there, possibly waiting to call someone over. You know, because there's many. It's not as much there anymore, but there's many. It's not as much there anymore, but there used to be parking. You see where it's all grass there?
Where's that? That's so I got to find this walkway.
And the trees, that used to be all parking there.
Oh yeah.
And
so
that's how
she
I
had
used to
gotten
park, right?
off the bus.
Yeah, so she went off the bus, went straight there, and she would go to the back way because it's a very dark stairways. Straight walk across there, and then lo and behold, a car could potentially have been there. You know, there's many locations of her being taken.
Would she have had to walk through that lot or just pass?
Just pass, you see the angle there? So she crossed the trees, and there was no walkway.
A small, standard.
Just a little foot.
Somewhere in my archives, I have a map of the original, what it looks like.
We have that.
Oh, you have it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
didn't bring it though.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We'll send you a picture of it. Absolutely.
Why can't I go this
you
way?
You can see the path that you would have taken to get straight there to start studying. But the importance here is that showing that they are places that you would have met somebody.
Yeah.
You know, so the campus here, there's a lot of locations. Plus, it was a very, at nighttime, it's very dimly lit. You know, they had the kind of orangey lights. So it wasn't like any bright lights or anything like that there. So when we get closer there and you see the stairs going up to the quad.
Hey, Hoosier Daddy's here. Good to see you, Hoosier. Good to see you in the chat. Always good to see Hoosier Daddy here. Sorry, I'm trying to find something on this stupid map here. Always good to see Hoosier Daddy. Yes, or maybe 2023. I have to look up when he came to Portland. Who's that? I had to suffer on a date with a guy I stopped dating just to get that ticket. Dave Chappelle for Dave Chappelle? Alphabet people? Uh,
You can see how someone could easily call her over there, or who knows where she went, you know, where the lanyard was. There's many locations, but because of how many people were here, there wasn't a struggle at all. You know, like I said prior, it had to be somebody she known or acquaintance at some level, or someone who's very good at luring and conning.
are you okay, Heather? For David Chappelle? Sorry, I've been I'm trying to find this exact where they are exactly, but this is a huge campus, so it's taking me forever. Ugh, warm milk will kill you. What was I was taking something for a while here is it starts with an OPE. Because I have tons of stomach issues. Everybody in my family does. But that stuff worked really good as like a pill. I forget the name of it. I'll have to get it for you though. Try that.
Yeah. So, but let's walk up.
This poor woman. This poor woman. Look at all these people around her. Okay, what is that? Trying to get some landmarks here.
Yeah, this year looks more like a place just for foot traffic, but it was a road.
It was a road. This
It was a
road. Yep.
So pretty much it looks like here where it kind of changes.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it stops is where it looked like straight across.
Right.
And they had a road that spanned right across along the stairs on the other side, which makes sense for service and maintenance to be able to drive right up to buildings and go across as opposed to going on the
Let's say University Hall. That said University Hall, I think.
buildings and go across as opposed to going on the ring road again.
Yes.
You can just jet across.
Yeah.
And this green area here was all parking too.
Yeah.
With trees. So there was a very lightly lit, as I said, the orange lighting here. You know, you couldn't really see much.
Yeah, yogurt sounds good. Yogurt usually works. Some people love yogurt, some people hate it. All also help with stomach issues due to chemo. Yeah. Pepto, ginger, peppermint, Imitral, boiled ginkgo biloba. Just add some honey. Clear you, dear. Man, too much drama in here. We used to have such a good chat. Nothing is helping at all. I just get little tiny breaks now and then. Have you tried Imodium?
But there was always people walking around here.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone would see at night too, and yeah, there's students everywhere. Well,
yeah.
I don't know how large is 98, but this is a pretty large student body. So.
Well, they had all these 4 buildings, and they had a couple of buildings outside the campus that were for married students, and other students lived outside. I'm not sure how many more student buildings there were.
There's a lot more new buildings than they are right now, you know, but for the area that is of concern here, you know, I would actually dare to say that there is less traffic here than it used to be back then because of the vehicles here.
See, there's that pipe again.
Would have been here.
So many other places to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to be right in the spot getting off the bus or going to these buildings. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So I have to find this sign.
Right. And the walking here, like, so there's no traffic, there's no really people going by except for people taking the bus. So, you know, things are a lot more quiet here than you normally would expect back in 98, you know, when she went missing. So, but here's the Colonial Quad where Suzy lived. She actually lived on the other corner of it, which we can go and check that here.
I swear by Imodium, literally. So I would try that. I would check it with your doctor first, though. You're good, Ujuzati. Not going anywhere. Dirty Diana is so funny. Do they still? I thought they banned ginkgo biloba. Goes to show you how much I know.
But the main part that you have here is the road, okay? And so someone could easily been parked here in the dimly lit area with trees and could have called her over. You know, the thing is, even though we talk about someone that has a very conservative routine as opposed to other missing persons who have a very risky lifestyle, you know,
it makes you easy to grab.
I'm not 100% positive she got off here. She might have. I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, not easy to grab is that, you know, if a person was watching her and got to know her patterns, would be very easy.
The fire hydrant right there. I got to remember that. And this. Anyways, eventually I'll find it.
You know, because she was like clockwork. You know, she knew what she had to do, where to go for work, and so.
I mean, it's not rare for people to be stalkers on campuses, right? It's not banned. Is Malcolm Wallace with you? That's fucking classic. Oh, that's the funniest thing I think I've The things you see in life, bro. Paula, me too. I'm going to get out of here soon. I'll watch a few more minutes of this here. The only thing to have to fear is fear itself. Is Malcolm Wallace with you? Oh, I hope you have a great week, Paula. We love you, Paula.
Go on. So there wasn't a big guessing game about where would Suzy be. And that's the one thing about when kids that age go missing, you know, people have to take into consideration what kind of lifestyle they had. Especially when it talks about Suzy, is that she had a very conservative lifestyle, and it would have been nice if law enforcement was more on it and the parents were saying that no, this is not her. She doesn't disappear without a trace.
And it almost seems that that's something that hasn't improved over the decades. I mean, yes, we do see more Amber Alerts and things of that.
Blue jays are probably the most annoying bird on the planet. Like if you are trying to talk outside, it seems like there's always some annoying blue jay that's just won't shut up.
That nature, but I feel like it's always that kind of, oh, they ran away, or just give it a day or so, they'll come back home, maybe they're with a friend. Like, do you think that would have made any difference in Suzy's case?
I don't know. You know, of course, back then they weren't looking for 19-year-olds; they were looking for kids up to the age of 18. And you know, even now you see a lot of runaways constantly. And you know, after a few days or a few weeks, they find out they can't make it on their own, and they come back. And Amber Alerts. I mean, you said
This isn't a runaway here, my opinion.
Amber Alerts. How many do you get? Do you get a lot?
Not very many, but I feel more than it used to be.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying that is because in order to issue an Amber Alert, they say that you have to have actually witnessed that, you know, somebody, kidnapping. Otherwise, they're not going to issue an Amber Alert. But for, like I said, 19-year-old.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody sticking around with my bullshit here. Issues, but just forewarn.
Hey, they're 19. They can do what they want, and you know, whatever.
You were a champion.
We changed the age. Yeah.
Legislation,
Yeah. So we changed the age because we felt like all the kids that go to college, all the kids that are going off to work or to the military or whatever, you know, it's the first time away from home. They're young. They're still young. They really don't know. And say, oh boy, I don't have my mother and father on my.
I just could never imagine the pain not knowing where your child is, you know, for this long. Has been, I mean, these people, some of these victims' families go through this shit for decades and decades and decades. It's just horrible. So we'll do part 2 probably next week. I've been here, how long? 3.5 hours almost. So yeah. Carol, no, Mo, Larry, and Curly were the only 3 Stooges I'm aware of, and sometimes Shemp. I want to say there was 7 in total, but I could be wrong. All right, so I'm gonna get the. You have her. You gave head mod to the wrong people in 2 instances. That is what started the drama. It wasn't any drama. I've been on his chat for it was only recent. I think I gave the people who have. I don't know. I don't know what I did. All right, so I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I've been on here 3.5 hours, and I'll try to do a part 2 of this here because this case is I don't know, it just interests me, and I'm trying to figure out where the hell they are standing. But I'm pretty sure I'll be able to do that at some point. It's definitely not over here, so I can get out of here now. It's a strange parking lot too. But anyways, that's that. I'm gonna get out of here. Let me start saying goodbye to everybody here. I do appreciate everybody for coming in, even though you can take my wrench. Basically, the wrenches are just for people who have channels that want to post channels in the chat. So it's it's one of those things. Thank you, buddy. It's one of those things. It's not supposed to be the end all to the chat, but I think you can, like, I go into a lot of chats, not just the true crime, but I go into a lot of sports chats, a lot of music chats. And if you don't like somebody in the chat, I think you can actually just block them from you seeing what they're doing. So, and I don't think you need a wrench for that. I think you can just basically block people for cheap. So, but anyways, Heather Brown, we love you. You're so amazing, Heather Brown. We care about you deeply here. I got Heather Brown's GoFundMe account down here, rolling across the bottom of the screen. I hope you feel better this week. I would ask your doctor about the Imodium stuff. You have comment thing and they use alternates. True, but you can. I'll block as many people as I have to if I have to. Beasley, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the people being here. The new people, people have been here forever. Who's your daddy? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate that. Mustang, I appreciate you being here. I hope you're doing okay. Sorry about the way you feel here in the chat. Dirty Diana, you're awesome. We love Dirty Diana here too. She has a great channel, just awesome stuff. Just amazing person. Did I say Carol? Chuck, you're great. Charles Manson, whoever the hell, Ron Logan, whoever how you are, you're awesome too. We'll get together. I got the long haul trucker thing going. I got a couple more new things going on that. So we'll get together with that soon. Farmer was in here too before I forget. Jocelyn was in here. I keep forgetting Jocelyn too. Big Fish, thank you for coming in. Let's see who else was in here. We have Tracy Fleetwood is awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy Fleetwood, for coming in. You're amazing too. Always good to have you here. We didn't see Charlotte in here tonight either, but I think she's kind of busy probably. I know that Honeybee was in here. Honeybee is amazing. Her channel is awesome. I know that Doodlebug was in here. Doodlebug has amazing stuff. Her true crime stuff is amazing. She's very, very good at what she does. What else? I know I'm going to forget people. Paula Fitzhenry's great. Paula Fitzhenry's amazing. Thank you, Paula. Anybody who's lurking too, thank you very much for coming in. All the new people coming in. I'm pretty sure Dan was in here. Zero Cool was in here. LBJ was in here. Can't believe I'm saying that. Who else? If I miss people, I'm sorry. I apologize. And everybody on replay too. I know a lot of people watch on replay because I'm up so damn late. So anybody on the replay, I really appreciate you guys coming in. I do want to do a part 2 on this next week, so hopefully we can do that. All right, so I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I hope you guys have a great week. Whatever you do, don't die. And I appreciate Nicole Watt was in here. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. That's who I was looking for. And I hope you feel better, Heather, this week for sure. So let me play my outro and then I'll get out of here. Yes, everybody, if everybody has a great week, that'd be great. All right, so let me play my outro. Those going to sleep, have a good night. The rest, go to Charles' channel. Okay, I'll probably meet you guys over there at some point. But I'm going to get out of here for now. I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you very much for coming in, and I'm out.